said, I'll tell you all the story about the joker and the thief. I said, I'll tell you all about the joker and the thief in the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shantanu Narayen.
Good morning. Who says you need goggles for a virtual reality experience? Can we give another round of applause to the amazing Adobe team that put that together? This is amazing. This is our largest Max ever, with more than 10,000 of you here in the room, and many, many more joining us online. A special welcome for those of you who are attending Max for the very first time. We're thrilled to have you be part of the Max community. In preparing for today, I've been reflecting on how this gathering is happening at an absolutely unprecedented time in our history. The world around us is changing faster and more intensely than ever before. I think we could easily dwell on what's wrong in the world around us and feel hopeless. Or instead, we could choose power. The power of creativity and design to make this world a better place. The power to captivate us with breathtaking color and to immerse us in the beauty of art on display in a museum, in a gallery, or on a screen. To teach people, young and old, and to raise awareness and advocate for change. To connect to the human condition halfway around the world, and to move us and change our perspective. And to bring surprise, joy, laughter, and to make someone remember this exact moment. This work and all the work that you do, I think reflects the artistry, the craft, the passion of people who are never satisfied with the status quo. No one sets the bar higher than all of you here. And you're choosing that power to create experiences that I truly believe will make the world a better place. It's an incredible privilege for us here at Adobe to be part of what you do, to build the technology that we can to make all of these experiences possible. As a community of artists and storytellers, photographers, filmmakers, designers, developers, students, teachers, and leaders, we're bringing together the power of creativity and technology, art and science, to elevate these experiences to new levels. Let's take a look. I think that video captures the passion and enormous talent of this community, set to music by one of the biggest creative geniuses of our time. When we first announced Creative Cloud 5 years ago, we shared with you our vision to completely reimagine the creative process. And millions of you have joined us on this journey, and we've released hundreds of breakthrough innovations and services over the past 5 years. Pursuing this vision has changed us as a company in so many ways. The cloud has allowed us to move faster, to explore new ways of doing things. We've developed countless new features and experimented with new models to connect mobile applications to desktop applications. We've pushed the envelope by trying to create new hardware, not to get into the hardware business ourselves, but to find a new way and demonstrate a new way of working with touch devices through the cloud. The list goes on and on. But in many ways, Creative Cloud is still in its early days, and we have so much more to do. When I think about where we're headed, I envision a creative process that redefines how we all work, where we have true location independence, moving seamlessly from desktop to mobile to web without losing anything in translation, where you have your assets at your fingertips, and where training and help and inspiration are there even before you know you're going to run into a problem, where you can collaborate globally with your design teams, with your marketing colleagues or clients with ease, no matter where you are. And where the business of this entire creativity, from selling your content to finding your next freelance project, is truly just a click away. We are making progress. We're making progress towards this vision that we've shared with all of you. And understanding your needs through our ongoing Creative Cloud relationship is making an enormous difference for us. I think there's never been a more exciting time for the inventors at Adobe. The creative canvas is expanding beyond what even we could have imagined just a year ago. When you think about what's happening from 3D to Ultra HD to augmented reality, virtual reality, real-time animation, and so many other leaps forward that we're making. Because the tools at our collective disposal are just unbelievable. Our phones today have cameras that outperform SLRs of the recent past. When you think about the graphics processing that's available in the cloud, there's no doubt that tablets are no longer just consumption devices, they're creation devices. And the mouse is giving way to such a wide range of more expressive inputs, from fingers to pens to brushes, and even today, our voices. Our own software innovation is actually moving just as fast as these devices, if not faster, to make sure we're putting the most advanced technology that we can into your hands. We call it Adobe Magic, but in reality, it's not magic at all. It's the hard work of brilliant scientists and product teams at Adobe who spend every day inspired by what you do and are trying to make our tools to work harder so that you can focus on being creative. At the heart of our innovation is Adobe Sensei, a new framework and set of intelligent services for dramatically improving the design and delivery of these digital experiences. It's a core part of the Adobe Cloud platform, and Sensei uses artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning capabilities to tackle today's complex experience challenges. It includes image matching across millions of images, understanding the meaning and sentiment of documents, finally targeting important audience segments, and so much more. Leveraging all of this content and data, Adobe Sensei is already hard at work in the Adobe Creative Cloud, Marketing Cloud, and Document Cloud, and will be available to our entire ecosystem of partners and developers. It is one of the most strategic investments that we're making to build on our decades of expertise and market leadership. And for our creative community, I think that Adobe Sensei is the Adobe magic that you have come to depend on us for, and we're trying to make it better all the time. If we can use artificial intelligence and machine learning to free you from the time-consuming tasks by helping you select objects in seconds rather than minutes, by recommending the perfect tool for your task. We believe that we can enable you to invest all your energy in the creative process. And it's your work and your ingenuity that will push Adobe Sensei beyond the old boundaries and to consider the unimaginable. You will see some amazing advances today when the team presents, but be assured those are just the beginning. Our mission as a company, our mission has always been to change the world through digital experiences. You are the ones that are making this happen. And we hope that Adobe technology and our innovations are enabling you to make these good experiences great. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the community. And thank you for inspiring us. And with that, I'll now turn it over to Bryan Lamkin, the leader of the creative business.
How y'all doing today? Thank you, Shantanu. What an awesome opening, and I'd like to thank the Adobe team also for just putting together an awe-inspiring entry that really gets my juices flowing here, so thanks. It's great to be back in San Diego. I actually used to spend a fair amount of time in San Diego. My best friend moved here after college, and I was down here fairly routinely. And if all goes well today, I'd like to invite all of you for a burger at my favorite burgers bar, Rocky over in PB, and I'm sure they can fit all 10,000 of my friends. So let's see if we can get through this. Okay. More than San Diego, I'm really excited to be back at MAX. So this is my second MAX on stage, and it's always been a place to be inspired, to share, to learn together, to explore together how creativity and design are shaping the future. Shantanu talked about how the world is changing around us, and I'm convinced more than ever that design and creativity is at the center of that change. If you think about it, your role as designers, your role as creators is more central than ever before. Creativity has a huge impact, touching all aspects of our lives. We did a little research this year, the State of Create research, and more than 2/3 of the respondents for the survey said that creativity helps make all of us better workers, better students, better parents, better leaders. And we have a lot higher expectations when you think about the experiences that we touch every day, the experiences that we encounter as consumers. In fact, half of the respondents in this survey told us that they consciously paid more money to get the right experience, to have the right product experience, so that experience matters at a very deep and profound level. You all are the leading minds in the creative community. Your role in creative experiences is more important than ever before. And you've told us, as we've engaged with you, you've told us in no uncertain terms that your creativity cannot be constrained by one process, by one tool, by one app, by one way of working. You want the freedom to explore. You want the freedom to capture and create, and to bring your creative vision to life. This is exactly why we built Creative Cloud in the first place, to give you everything you need to respond to the new demands that are being placed on you, to work when, where, and how you want, to produce exactly the content that you need to produce with the latest tools, with the latest apps, and the latest services. When we started this journey together, we focused a lot on our leading desktop apps, the flagships, Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, and we shipped hundreds of new features every year, focused on performance, productivity, and now with the Creative Cloud, a constant stream of innovation. And then we turned our attention to mobile. As mobile devices have become more and more powerful, we put a huge focus on extending the creative power beyond the desktop to mobile, helping you create anywhere, with your assets always at your fingertips, always in sync. But it's not just about tools and apps and services. Community is the true core of the Creative Cloud. And our role in that community is through our innovation, crafted together with you to push the boundaries of creativity. But we can only do that with your help. We can only do that by having you be an active part of the creative process with us, and in doing so, make the experience better for all of us. Last year, we introduced at Max, up in Los Angeles, we introduced our first preview release of Adobe XD. This is our user experience design and prototyping tool, and it's the best experience for actually building high-powered, immersive mobile apps and websites. We invited all of you to use the beta, to come to adobe.com, to download it, to sign up for Creative Cloud if you hadn't done that already, to download it, and to share your feedback, and together help us drive the innovation that we were bringing to Adobe XD. And I'd say that we at Adobe feel like the experience has been overwhelmingly positive with you. You all placed over 23,000 votes on 500 feature requests that resulted in 100 new innovative features for Adobe XD. More important than the sheer quantity of the features that we were able to build, it was that the features were on target. The features were the ones that you told us were critical for your workflows. So by designing and developing in the open, by engaging all of you in our own creative process, we built a better product together. And we're going to take the same open approach to design and development with many of our tools and services over the next year and beyond, including a few more that you're going to hear about today. So we innovate together, we create together as a community. But our role in community goes well beyond the technology and the innovation. We are just as passionate about supporting and fostering the community itself. Last year, we launched the Creative Residency Program. The Creative Residency is basically, it's a year-long program that gives select individuals the opportunity to learn and to grow by focusing full-time on a passion project with us at Adobe, without having to worry about balancing all the trade-offs that we all trade off in our daily lives. All that we asked in return of our creative residents was that they actually share the experience, both good and bad, so that we as a community can all learn together. And this year's residents are working across a range of disciplines and diverse projects. For example, there's Sarah Dici, whose Creative Spaces YouTube series takes viewers into the lives of creative professionals like yourselves. Or Christine Herron, who's spending her year using her design schools to launch a whole new product, to document creative discoveries and inspirations. And all of our creative residents are here at Max today, and welcome you to come by their booth in the Community Pavilion to hear more about the Creative Residency Program. Beyond residency, we're also very committed in helping cultivate creative careers, because a great idea is only as good as its execution. We all know that. To truly make great ideas a reality, you must act, you must experiment, you must fail, you must adapt and learn, and get up the next day and do it all over again. So we do this through 99U. It's our website and our conference series, where leading creatives offer pragmatic, action-oriented insights to help bring ideas to life. And then there's Behance, the leading creative community of more than 8 million of you, the creative community where you showcase your creative work and where you're inspired by others. In fact, Behance is the source of all the wonderful imagery that surrounded you as you walked into the hall today. The explosion of devices that we talked about, that Shantanu talked about and I touched on earlier, the demand for high-quality, personalized experiences places greater demands on all of you. We at Adobe refer to this as content velocity. Personalized experiences, multiple surfaces, personalized and high-quality, immersive experiences that you need to develop require a lot more content. And we need to make that go faster, so content velocity. One way that Creative Cloud helps you address the demands of increased content velocity is by providing a marketplace for design assets that help you work faster. With Adobe Stock, you have access to the most diverse collection of high-quality content, of photos, of videos, of 3D models, all available directly within your favorite Creative Cloud apps. So you don't have to interrupt your creative process to get your best work done. But Adobe Stock is not just about putting high-quality content at your fingertips. It's also a marketplace for all of you. So you can publish your own work directly to Adobe Stock and reach a market of millions just like yourselves. High-quality typography is also fundamental to good design. And millions of you already use Adobe Typekit to access thousands of fonts This year alone, we actually added 1,200 new fonts to Adobe Typekit. And today, I'm excited to announce Adobe Typekit Marketplace. This is a new way to find, to buy, and to use premium typefaces from the world's leading type foundries. With Typekit Marketplace, you now have access to over 10,000 high-quality typefaces. Again, directly within Creative Cloud. So from desktop and mobile to community and marketplace, this is Creative Cloud. Finally, your assets are at the core of Creative Cloud, and keeping them in sync remains critical across all devices. And we are building a cloud-based future, as Shantanu alluded to, well beyond mere asset synchronization. First, as you see later today, our future products are all built on a cloud-native approach to ensure that your assets are always available and always in sync, allowing you to create when and where you want, and with immediate access to the full fidelity files that you're creating, including your latest edits. Cloud native in turn enables richer collaboration, whether it's co-creating with the distributed design team, or responding to feedback from your clients, or simply sharing your favorite photos with family and friends. The cloud native approach that we're taking in the future will unlock richer and more reliable collaboration and sharing. And finally, cloud native means that we can easily build Adobe Sensei's machine learning, artificial intelligence, and deep learning technologies and capabilities, leveraging both the content and the data to deliver much more automatic, much more intelligent creative services that help you realize your creative vision that much more quickly. You've already seen many of Sensei's innovations brought to life with products like Photoshop. Content-aware fill and crop leverages this technology deeply, and we will be sharing a lot more over the coming days. So today we're excited to announce Creative Cloud, our 2017 release. With Creative Cloud 2017, you'll see both a big focus on powerful enhancements to the current applications, as well as an early glimpse at some of the new innovations that we have in store for you. We spent a great deal of time speaking about cloud native and marketplace, and these themes are very relevant to the release that you'll see today. But we've also focused an entire release on the core product experience. You'll see performance efficiency, you'll see precision, and you'll see tons of innovative enhancements that we brought to the apps that you use every day. So whether you're a new user, just coming up to speed on Creative Cloud, or a seasoned professional, we built an experience for you. We built an experience that gets the application out of your way so you can focus on your creative work. So that's Creative Cloud 2017. Let's get started. I'd like to invite Brooke and Eric up to stage to demonstrate how Creative Cloud combined with Adobe Stock make bringing your creative vision to life that much simpler. You guys take it away.
Thanks, Bryan.
Thanks, Bryan. Wow, it is so incredible to be here in front of so many talented people. I'm a designer at Adobe, and when I'm not doing that, I'm typically being asked to design for friends and family. I'm sure you all know what I mean. So I have a few friends who are in a band called Lost Lakes, and they've asked me and Eric to collaborate on a poster for a concert they've got coming up this weekend, of course. So let's get started. So this is Photoshop, and this is the new document screen that we've designed to be more visual and easier to use. Now, as always, I can manually enter the custom dimensions for the project that I want to create. But like Bryan said, we've really focused on improving the experience for the things that you do over and over again. So I've got some recent sizes here. I've got some saved sizes that I go to all the time. And then I've got some popular presets for categories like web and mobile, and of course, print. Now, I could start with this tabloid size, but as you all know, we're running short on time, so I'm going to check out these templates. Templates are just one of the great new features from Adobe Stock that help make Photoshop easier to use. I'm looking for something simple, and this looks like it could work for me. Let's go for it. So templates are really helpful for people who are just learning the tool, but they're also incredible for someone like me who just wants to get going without a blank canvas. The template is connected to my Creative Cloud account, which means I have access to it everywhere I have Photoshop. It's going to create a new document each time I open the template, so I never have to worry about overwriting it. And hopefully it's ready. Looks like it's good. Let's open it up. Whoops. Let's try something different here. Looks like someone decided to sneak in a little file for me. All right, here we go. So this is the template, and so I've already started collecting some assets that I know I'm going to need into a Creative Cloud library. Now, I'm sure some of you already use Creative Cloud libraries, but for those of you who don't, you're missing out. They're an amazing way to manage things like colors, logos, and assets that I know I'm going to need for a project. But where they really shine is when I'm working on a team, like I'm doing today with Eric, and we can add each other as collaborators to the library, so we each have access to all of the assets across all of our devices. So I'm going to pull in the logo that we created in Illustrator. Lost Lake's logo here. Great. And let me just show you how simple it is to change things like character styles that I've already got in my library. It's as simple as selecting the text and then selecting the character style. Oops. So the title of our concert is Rock the Woods. Let's change that there. That thing where I can't type when there's 10,000 people watching me. And it's happening in the gorgeous Santa Cruz Mountains. Great. So I'm going to get rid of this stroke here because it's not really doing a whole lot for me. And then I just want to pull in the date graphic that we already have in our library that we created in Illustrator. Awesome. So I've got the basics, but it really isn't anything special. So I want to pull in a background image to start tying things together. And to find that image, I'm going to check out Adobe Stock. Now, Adobe Stock is a collection of over 60 million images, illustrations, templates, and videos that are integrated into all my creative tools. I'm going to do a quick search for forest because that's where things are happening. And you can see that I've got a ton of really gorgeous results. But I've actually already got an image in mind. It's an image that I stole from my friend's Instagram account. And what I really like about it is the trees in the foreground and the mountains in the background. And I like the sunset. But there's a couple problems. The sky is pretty blown out, and I stole it off of Instagram. But you've all done it. Don't judge me. All right, so I'm going to show you a brand new feature that just launched on Adobe Stock today that allows me to drag the image into my browser. And what's happening is Adobe Stock is analyzing that image, and it's going to find images that are visually similar to that one. And pretty similar, right? So I really like this one. Let's check out a preview. Now, I could download this to my desktop and pull it into Photoshop. Because Adobe Stock is integrated into Photoshop, I can save a preview directly to the Creative Cloud library that Eric and I are already working on. So it allows me to play with the watermark image and decide whether or not I want to use it before I decide to license it. You can see it's appearing in my library here. So I'm just going to pull it onto the poster. It's got to make it a little bit bigger. Great. Let's reduce the opacity of this to let the image shine through just a little bit. Yeah, it's not really doing a whole lot for me, actually. The sky's still super blown out, and I'm not a fan of those flowers in the foreground. In fact, I wanted a few mountains. Now, I could go back out to the website and try to figure out what keywords I would need to search for to find images that are visually similar, but I'm going to give you guys a sneak preview of a really awesome new feature coming to Photoshop called Visual Canvas Search. Visual Canvas Search allows me to search directly from my canvas. In fact, I can search from a selection of my canvas. But what makes this feature so incredibly powerful, and what you guys already know and what I already know, is this is Photoshop. I can put whatever I want on my canvas. So I've got some mountains that I had in my library, and I can just quickly composite those onto the background, make a selection of just the portion of that image so I don't get that blown out, and I can click Find Similar, and directly within Photoshop, I can find Adobe Stock images that are visually similar. And these are really fantastic results. In fact, I like this one a lot. So I'm just going to save a preview to the Creative Cloud library. And we can get rid of this one. Not doing it for me. All right, let's pull this one onto the background. Cool. I'm going to make a few adjustments to the contrast of it, just to brighten it up just a touch. Great, and I need to pull in this the lighter date graphic. Well, it's already in my library, so it's super simple to do. Cool. I think this is pretty awesome, so I'm going to go ahead and license this. And I can do that directly within Photoshop. Now, with other services, I would have to go back out to the website. I would have to try to find the image that I downloaded. I would have to go through a really cumbersome purchasing process. And then I would have to pull it into Photoshop, try to remember every single one of those edits I made. But I can do this directly within Photoshop, and a high-resolution version of that image is appearing on my canvas with every single one of those edits I made. It's so easy, and it's fantastic. And in case you missed it, the watermark is gone, and I have a stunning background image. So this looks pretty good, but I still feel like it's missing something. Well, I'm running out of time, and Brian's probably going to come back up here and kick me off stage if I don't hand it over. So Eric, he's an amazing designer, and I want you to take it away, no pressure.
Yeah, thanks. I think this looks really great. You know, the one element that's not working for me is that circle. I feel like we could have a little bit of a different shape that would work with the background better. So I'm going to take that image out of the shared Creative Cloud library and just do some edits to it. And so, these days when I'm doing, drawing and compositing work, I'm doing almost all of it over on my iPad Pro. Between the Apple Pencil, a great set of applications, it's really been my go-to device for all of this kind of work. And so to start out on my iPad Pro, I'm going to go into Adobe Photoshop Mix. And Photoshop Mix is the core masking and compositing engine from Photoshop running on iOS and Android devices. And for those of you who've used Mix, you'll notice we have a completely new organizer. So whether you have a few photos or a few hundred photos, we make it really easy to organize and find your work. Across the bottom, we're introducing learning and discovery content from Behance at the top level of the application, so you can learn how Mix works and see great content that other people have created. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new document, and I'm going to grab some assets from this shared library that Brooke and I have been using, band assets. And I think this logo that we created in Illustrator looks pretty good. And then these two different images from Adobe Stock, I'm going to go ahead and open those up. So pulling in assets from a few different places, I'm going to scale these up just to make sure they look the way I need them to. And reorder a few of my layers, so I want that on top. And I want this second layer in between the two. So this is a good start. I'm starting to mix these images together. But what I actually want to do is create a blending mode on this top layer. So we've got a ton of really great blending modes in here. I can set this to screen and let the image start to show through that logo, get rid of that black background. I also want to use that shape, that triangular shape, as a mask of the layer below it. So if I drag that on top of the image below, Mix makes it really easy. I've got this copy mask on layer option, and it's just going to cut out the layer below it using that mask. And then, now that I see these two images on top of each other, I think I want to lighten up the background image. So I'm going to go into my adjustments and exposure and just amp that up a little bit. So I'm pretty happy with these three layers, but I want to do some painting and drawing work. And for that, I'm actually going to go into a different application. And so if you guys saw that quick spinner happening, there's something pretty interesting going on in the background here. So our mobile apps have always synced everything you've done to Creative Cloud since day one. Your work is backed up, it appears on multiple devices, and if you're working with someone like Brooke and I are working with together today, all of your stuff is already in the cloud. It makes it really easy to collaborate. But something we're excited to give you a sneak preview of today is documents in the cloud. So if I leave Photoshop Mix and go into Sketch, which is our natural media painting and drawing application, you'll notice I have all the same files, and that file I was working on just shows up. I can go ahead and open this up, and I see all of the layers that were created inside of Mix. Now, I don't have to know if this is an Illustrator file or a Photoshop file. The cloud just makes that really simple, and I can just get working across multiple applications. So from here, I'm going to add a sketch layer in between my Mix layers. So I'm combining layers from different applications into one place. And I want to start painting into it. So I'm going to go ahead and select a brush. And so Sketch has always had the best built-in brushes out there. And with Adobe Capture, you can create brushes out of anything your camera can take a photo of. But something we're really excited to announce today is Sketch is now the first mobile application that allows you to use Photoshop brushes. So if you have all of your brushes you've used forever in Photoshop to draw on the desktop, you can use all those same marks here on the mobile device. And so, yeah, great. Some illustrators out there. It's a big deal for people drawing on the iPad. And so this is actually a set of brushes made by Kyle Webster. He's a really well-known illustrator and brush maker. And these are regular Photoshop brushes running on the iPad. So I'm going to select this rake brush. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I want to select a color from this shared library. So Brooke and I are always using the same color palette. And reduce the flow. And I'm just going to start painting some rough texture in the background. I think I went a little bit crazy. So I'm going to go into my blend modes and select clear. We have all the same brush blending modes that you have in Photoshop on the desktop. So a ton of creative control here. I can just lighten that up a little bit. And then from there, I'm going to change the blending mode, same blending modes in Mix and in Sketch. I'm going to change this, I think, to multiply, just to get that background in there. So it's getting close. There's one more little thing I want to do. So I have this image layer that came in from Mix, and I actually want to paint into that layer. So within Sketch, I can actually convert this into a sketch layer. So it's almost like I've drawn every one of these pixels within Sketch. And if I turn on lock transparency, I can paint inside of that mask that I created in another application. So I'm going to go ahead and select, I think this oil brush. It's got a really nice canvas texture in the background. I really like it. I'm going to grab a little bit lighter color, make it bigger, opacity down. I'm just going to paint a little bit sort of inside of here. Let me change that. Lock transparency, undo. There we go. So now I'm just painting inside of that shape. Great, so I think this looks really good. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this project. And again, if I go back into Mix, you'll notice my edits just show up automatically. Everything is synced. If I open this file up, I'll see all the edits I made across 2 applications showing up. So I can really use Sketch for painting and drawing, Mix for masking and compositing, every app for what it's best at, all on the same file. And so I'm really happy with this. I've got all of my layers here. I'm going to go ahead and send this to a Creative Cloud library. And so what this is going to do, it's going to take all of the layers from 2 of these applications, mix them together, create a Photoshop file, and it's going to put it inside of the shared library so Brooke can use it as a background. Brooke, what do you think?
Eric, I think this looks really awesome. I absolutely love what you did with the vector mountains and the image compositing, and I think it's going to be perfect for the background image of the poster. And I also love what you did with Kyle's Photoshop brushes. That's amazing. Cool, let's get rid of this. Now, this looks pretty good, but I still feel like it's maybe missing something. Well, when Kyle created the Photoshop brush pack for us, he actually sent us a bonus illustration of some elk, and I had a feeling that it might work out on this poster. So let's drag those down here. Pretty awesome, right? Cool. I actually really love this, and I think Lost Lakes is going to love it too. Now, I just want to point out, this is pretty cool. We just had Eric and I collaborating, plus Kyle's elk, and we created a pretty awesome poster within a span of just a few minutes using multiple devices, mobile and desktop. And that is the power of Creative Cloud tied together through libraries. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Gotta love those elk. So how about that find similar command? That's powerful. Shantanu and I were talking about, I was feeling a little bit of pressure. He said, don't worry, Bryan, the keynote's going to go great. And I said, well, I'm a little worried. He said, well, look, if it doesn't go well, then Abhay chimed in and said, I know Shantanu's sensei. We can just use the find similar command on Bryan, right? So, okay. That was my bad joke of the day. All right. As Eric mentioned, you can use Photoshop brushes directly in Adobe Sketch, and we've decided to help you get started with that by teaming up with Kyle Webster, who's built some phenomenal brushes to provide a set of Kyle's most useful Photoshop brushes. So we're going to make those available to you today. The poster that Eric and Brooke created is a great example of how we brought together Adobe Stock, some of the Sensei technology, along with the collaboration enabled by Creative Cloud to help you execute on your creative vision faster than ever before. And today, with Adobe Stock, we're excited to announce that we're expanding Adobe Stock with the addition of editorial content. So through a partnership with Reuters, the largest independent news agency and source of editorial images, we're going to bring that to Adobe Stock. So Reuters obviously has a huge history here, but there's an archive of over 13 million photographs of images across all major news, sports, entertainment, and lifestyle events that grows every day. So this will expand the Adobe Stock library by nearly 18 million high-quality images and videos, and they're adding nearly 4,000 every day. So this is going to be a huge asset for you in Creative Cloud. The entire Reuters collection will be available in Adobe Stock within the coming few months, and we'll announce the availability to all of you. So proud to team up with Reuters. Next, we'd like to transition to design. So if you all know, and most of you practice this every day, Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign remain the true cornerstone for your design suite. And we continue to drive innovations and enhancements and performance improvements every generation of the product that we release. In fact, since I was on stage at MAX last year, we've released 100 new features across Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. So continue to push the envelope there. At the same time, as we discussed earlier, the content velocity and the rapid pace of change that you're all facing right now just places demands for you to create new types of content faster and faster than ever before. And so to share with you how we're going to help you get better respond to the demands being placed on you in terms of creative content, I'd like to invite Paul Gabay to the stage. Paul?
Design is infused within everything that we do. Whether you are summoning your car or choosing which song to play on a speaker in your house, chances are there was deep design thinking behind it. Somebody was passionate enough, bold enough to break the established rules and take something as simple as turning a thermostat and change it into a delightful experience. But design is more than just putting pixels on a screen. Great design defines how we all interact with the world, and a great design team knows how to marry aesthetics with a deep, deep understanding of workflow, because great design teams don't just design, they build great experiences. So, how do you do it? How do you build a great experience? Well, it takes constant iteration, which means you need to design, prototype, and share, and do it again, and again, and again, and again, until you get it right. And we all know this is not a simple task. Today's modern designer is an acrobat, jumping across multiple tools, plugins, services, solutions, users, and stakeholders in order to get the job done. Now, over the last 2 decades, Adobe has fundamentally changed the way that the world designs with tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. Millions of designers use these tools every day to create everything from logos on icons to websites and applications. But you've told us that visual design by itself is not enough to create a great experience. You need to augment those tools with services that will allow you to design, prototype, and share. And that is why we created Adobe XD. Now, we first shared XD with you on this stage last year as Project Comet. And we told you that XD would be different. XD would allow you to design at the speed of thought. And that is a phrase that we take very seriously on the team. So what does it mean? Well, for the first thing, XD was built from the ground up for performance. Everything you do in XD is lightning fast. But it's more than just speed. We've reimagined the experience of using a design system. We've rethought about the tools, the UI, and the workflow to make sure this is the most productive design system that you'll work in. And we have combined design, prototype, and share into one system. We've removed the friction so we can all focus on building a great experience. We also established an entirely new product development process with XD. We chose to build it out in the open as a public beta so that we could work with thousands of community members and incorporate your feedback into the product we're building that we will all love and use together. And the feedback in response to the public beta has been phenomenal. As you can see from this quote above me, designers love XD. So today, I am really excited not only to show you the latest version of XD, but to talk with you about the future of design at Adobe that you are helping us define. So to help us get started with the first part of that journey, please help me welcome to the stage Joan Lafferty to show us the latest release of Adobe XD.
Thanks, Paul. So I've been working on XD for some time, so I have to say I'm just so honored to be here to represent a really amazing team who's here and to tell you where XD is today. Adobe XD is a vector design tool that lets you build beautiful experiences. It was built from the ground up really to help designers just move faster. All of you guys, even those way in the back there. So, all right, so let's dive right in here. So as Paul mentioned, in the tool you can design, you can prototype, and then you can iterate really quickly on that design by getting feedback. So we're going to start right here with design. So I've been working on this Surf Finder application with another designer, and he might be here today if he's not out surfing the waves. So you'll see that all of the screens of this application are represented by artboards right here on the canvas. And then on the right-hand side, we've got a single properties panel, and this is contextual. So depending on what you have selected here on the canvas, it'll change. Then on the left-hand side, we have layers. And layers are actually new to this update of XD. And just like the properties panel, it's contextual too. So when I start going in here and working on an artboard, I don't see all of the layers in the entire document. I only see the layers for that particular artboard here. And I have to say, that makes me work a lot faster, helps me find things and organize my document just a lot more efficiently. So let's start working on this design here. So I need to work on this search results screen, and this is going to have a list of beaches that somebody could surf at. Now, normally if I was creating a list, I would go in here, I would take that first item, copy and paste this over and over and over again, and then when I want to change styles or layout, I would have to do that for every single one of these items. And you guys are probably really used to this, but it gets really tedious. But in XD, I don't have to do that. Instead, I'm going to use the Repeat Grid tool. So just like the contextual properties panel and layers, Repeat Grid is another example of how XD is taking its tools, trying to reinvent them for productivity. So I'm going to take this first item, make it into a repeat grid, and now I can extend this out and create all of the list items that I need. And then I'm going to go in here and change some of the layout, and you can see that any change I make on one, it's going to be reflected on every single one of those list items. But I definitely don't want all of these images or the text here to be the same, and the repeat grid offers me that flexibility. So I can go into Finder, I can grab a bunch of unique images that I have here, and I can just drag those right in to my list, and they automatically populate. And then I can do, yeah, it's cool. I can do the same thing with a text file. So here's my text file, I'm going to drop that in, and it's done. And really here, I'm done. So the repeat grid makes it really easy to work with repeating content on a single artboard. But now I need to repeat content across my document in lots of different artboards. So let's look at a few other screens here. So right here, I've got a couple of screens where somebody would be booking their surf instruction. And I want to take this continue button and actually reuse that on a couple of different artboards. The best way to do that is with symbols. And so with this first release of symbols in XD, you can take any object or group, make that into a symbol, and then now I can take instances of that symbol into all of the other artboards where I need it. And then, just like the repeat grid, I can edit that symbol right here on the canvas, and I see how that's going to affect all of my other instances. So let's go in here, we'll change the color really quickly. You can see how these changes happen right here. So this actually becomes really powerful as you start using more and more symbols across your document. So right here on this artboard, I'm actually using a symbol for the yellow background here. And I'd like to play with maybe some more unique styles, make this flow in the application look a little bit different. So when I do that, you can see that any change I make here on the canvas just happens throughout the document. It doesn't matter how many artboards or symbols I have here, all of these changes, they'll happen instantaneously. This right here is the speed of XD. All right, so I'm done with my design. Now I'm ready to create something interactive. And you know what? I don't have to install any plugins. I don't have to switch tools. I'm going to do it right here in prototype mode. All right, so we'll close up the layers. Now that I'm in prototype mode, really I can take any object and make that into a button that will transition to another screen. So right here, I'm actually going to choose this search result for Cardiff Reef Beach. And when somebody clicks on that, I want them to get taken to this beach details screen. And that'll give them some more information about the weather, the tide, the sharks, like anything you need to know before you go and risk your life out there, right? So I get some options here for the transition, and we'll make a couple of changes, and then we'll see how that looks. All right, so here is your search results screen. I can scroll through it, works nicely, and I can click right here on Cardiff Reef, and I see that interaction that we just created. So this looks pretty good, but I have to say these are mobile app screens, and I'm never really fully confident with my design until I see it running on a device. I want to know that those tap areas I created and those fonts I chose, that they actually work, right? Well, I'm excited to share with you that Adobe XD is now available for mobile on iOS and Android. So with this first release of the mobile apps, they support live device preview. So while I'm working here, I'm also previewing right here on the device. So right here on my device, I can go ahead and I can tap on Cardiff Reef, just like we did on the desktop, and I see how that transition is going to look right here on the device. And that makes me feel a lot better. But what's even better, actually, is designing live with this application. So right here, when I'm looking at this screen, I look at the button, and I'm like, you know what? That's actually a little bit too small, and the text is kind of really hard to see. So I'm going to go back here in design mode to that beach details screen, and I'm actually going to edit this particular button here. And we'll edit the size of that, as well as the text here. And as I'm doing this, you can see that the updates to the text happen just really instantaneously right there. Yeah, that's really hard to do. One of our engineers spent a bit of time on that. But the reason it's so fast is because XD is not sending bitmaps down to your phone. It's actually a full version of Adobe XD running right here on these mobile devices. So as you can imagine, preview is just the beginning of where we want to take these mobile apps. All right, so I'm now done with my design. I've created an interactive prototype. I've even looked at it on device. I'm now ready to get feedback from my team. And you know what? I'm not going to switch tools to do that. I'm going to do it right here with the Share Online feature in XD. So with one click, I'm now creating an interactive prototype that I can see in the browser and share with my team. So let's see how that's going to look. So this is how it looks here. This is a link that I can share with my team. They can view it, they can interact with it, and now they can also leave comments and get feedback right here in the browser. So this right here was just a quick look at how really Adobe XD makes my entire design process just run a lot smoother, from visual design to an interactive prototype, and then finally getting feedback from my team.
Awesome. Thank you, Joan. Everything you've just seen, the XD running on Mac, the iOS, and the Android preview apps, all available today in the latest public beta of XD that you'll be able to download and start working with right away. And in this latest release, including the symbols and the layers work that Joan just showed you, you really have everything you need to be successful doing production work inside of XD. So you might say, well, if I have everything I need, why is this still a public beta? And there's a reason for that. When we first decided to build XD, we chose to build this as a platform. And for us, that meant that designers would be able to access it on every surface where they need to be able to access it. And while we have some very important surfaces up there, you will note that one of them is missing, and that is Windows. Now, when we looked at the beginning of this year of building XD on Windows, we wanted to make decisions that would ensure that it would be future-proof. And for us, that meant building XD as a true Windows universal application. So we could take advantage of everything that Windows 10 has to offer, including the latest APIs for touch, pen, and multi-device. In fact, we believe this is the most ambitious project that has ever been built as a universal Windows application. So for the first time, to see XD running on Windows, let's turn it back over to Joan again.
Thanks, Paul. All right, so I would say this is super exciting because Adobe XD is running right here on Windows 10 on this brand new Microsoft Surface Studio device. So you can work on this up like this if you wanted, which I do when I have a keyboard, but right now I don't have a keyboard, so I'm going to work on it down like this so you guys can see my face too. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually open up the same Surf Finder application that we were working on earlier today. And when I do that, you can see that right here, we've got all the same capabilities to design, to prototype, and then to iterate really quickly on that. But as Paul mentioned, the team really wanted to craft a unique experience here that takes advantage of both hardware and software capabilities of this platform. So I can actually go in here with touch, and I can pan around my canvas. I can zoom in on my design. It just works really smooth and nicely. I can go back here to design mode. I can use the tools. I can move things around. I can even go here in prototype mode and just quickly wire up some interactions like we were doing with the mouse earlier.
May I?
Yeah, sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you're a Windows designer, you're really going to love this. This is
Or
great.
if you're not a Windows designer, it's cool too. So XD also has support for the stylus. And so right here on the instructor details screen, I'm actually this is the beach result details screen. I'm actually going to add in some text because I need a label right here. So I'm going with the text tool, we'll put it maybe about right there. And this is going to say surf report. And I'm just writing here, and the text recognition technology is actually translating that directly into my design here, which is really nice. Neat, right? And so now that I've got this, I can go in here, I can scrub through some of my properties, and then just move that into place. So I don't like that color. All right, there we go. So the last thing I'm going to do is actually work on some vector art here. So on this instructor details screen, there's an icon missing right here. And to build that icon, I'm going to do it with the stylus along with the XD pen tool.
Now, Joan, the pen tool in XD is one of the tools that the team has reimagined. Just tell us a little bit what's special about the pen tool.
Yeah, so the team's taken really all the functionality of different pen tools and combined them all in one. So you can add, you can delete anchor points, you can work with curves as well as sharp edges, and you only have one pen tool to do that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start drawing that wave right here. I don't know what the surf is quite like today, but maybe big or small. And you get the guides while you're doing that. And so there we go. And so right here, I've got the beginnings of my wave icon, and honestly, everything I need for screen design running beautifully right here on Windows.
That's awesome. That's great. So, thank you. Front row. Just like everything else with XD, we're going to be doing this out in the open. So you'll be able to get your hands on the first public beta of XD for Windows by the end of this year. We're really excited for you guys to check it out. Now, when I first kicked off this section, I told you I was really excited to show you XD, which we've just done. But I also said I wanted to talk to you about the future of design. Now, we don't have a magic crystal ball at Adobe, but we have something even better. We have an amazing design community that we get to work with every day. And it's through those interactions that we get to see the challenges that designers and design teams are facing on a regular basis. So to help me discuss some of the challenges that today's design-led companies are facing, please help me welcome to the stage Alan Mask from Airbnb. Alan, good to see you. Another really tall guy. So Alan, gosh, everybody knows what Airbnb does, of course, but for designers that are in the audience, you also know that Airbnb plays a pretty significant role in the design community, and I know it's really important to you guys to do that. Just tell us a little bit about, what is it that you do in the design community, and why is it important to Airbnb?
Yeah, for sure. So Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia, our founders, are actually designers. They both trained at RISD, the Rhode Island School of Design, and design is at the forefront of almost every single thing we do as a company. And you mentioned we're quite active in the design community. We have a really popular design blog, and we host design meetups once a month at our headquarters in San Francisco.
And I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the Airbnb design blog. It's really cool. Now, Alan, you guys, your team actually, you play a pretty interesting role in Airbnb. You are surrounded by many other teams. You do a lot of work with different internal and external guys. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what the team does.
For sure. So I lead a team at Airbnb called Global Product Marketing. And we're actually the most cross-functional team at Airbnb. And we're responsible for two things: helping bring our technology to life for our users through creative communication, as well as extending our brand promise through our product experience. And so the designers on my team are like creative athletes. We work across all the different design teams at Airbnb. So that's experience design, production design, all the way through our external agencies and creative partners.
I like that term, creative athletes. Can I use that?
Absolutely.
All right, awesome.
Yours.
Thanks. And so, yeah, actually, what you guys do, we've seen that quite a bit when we talk to a number of the design-led companies out there. There's just more and more of this movement of working with many, many different teams. Obviously, that creates and presents many challenges as well. What are some of the challenges you guys face when you work across so many teams?
For sure. So there are a number of them. One that comes to mind is asset management. If you look at the inputs and outputs across our design workflow, managing the different components themselves is almost like a full-time job.
Right, and I'm assuming you guys are using style guides and dealing with a lot of cross-pollination across the other members of the teams. That's with assets. What about the actual design files themselves? Obviously, you have multiple designers working on designs. How do you guys handle that?
Yeah, for sure. Two other big challenges that we have is just version control across our files, which can be especially difficult, especially since we move so fast as a business, and also just compatibility across the different tools we use and different types of software. It can really make collaboration as a designer really difficult.
And when you have multiple designers collaborating, are you all just merging your changes in? I mean, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's quite a manual process, but we do the best we can with what we have.
Gotcha. Hey, listen, Alan, thank you very much for your perspective. Awesome. That's great. Everyone, let's give Alan a round. Thank you. What Alan just talked about, it's really a common theme, right? I think all of us deal with this. The need to manage your assets and your designs, as well as collaborate with your team. It's something that comes up time and time and time again. But you've also told us that disjointed storage sharing workflows are a pain, and they don't solve the problem for you either. So today, we're going to take a sneak peek at how Adobe XD is going to help you manage your assets, work with your designs, and your teams together. So one of the things you've told us is that behind any great design, there's typically a style guide that everybody on the team is using. And the style guide plays such an important role that we've actually reimagined how we're going to bring libraries into XD. So let me show you how that works. Here I am in my design file. I'm going to open up my libraries panel. And you're going to notice that in my libraries panel, all of the elements are already pre-populated. That's because with this library, we have a one-to-one mapping with the design file itself. So everything in the library maps to the design file. To show you what I mean, I'm going to come over here. Let's choose a button. I'm going to grab this button. I'm going to select a different color. And when I select a different color for the button, you're going to see that that color immediately gets updated directly to the library panel. So I'm guaranteed to be in sync with what I'm doing. Now, that's great for me to control and have a view into my design. What's even more powerful is when I can use that library panel to make global changes across my design. So let's go over to this side of the screen here. You'll see that I've got a number of artboards on the screen that have a light color blue in the background. Now, if I wanted to play around with that and see what it looked like with a different color, I'd have to go into every single artboard and make that change, but not anymore. With the new libraries panel, I can find that color, I can open it up, and as I select different colors, XD immediately finds all of the elements, all of the instances of that color across my entire design file and changes them for me in real time. Unbelievably fast way for me to be able to make changes inside of the design. The team has taken this even one step further. Oftentimes when you're working on a design, you're working with a style guide, you have an approved set of colors that you're working with. Sometimes you're asked to replace one color with the other. Rather than having to hunt and peck and make a bunch of changes to be able to do that, let's say I've got this color purple that I want, and I want to replace that blue I just made a change to, I can simply grab the color, drop it on top of the one that I want, and immediately it's updated across the entire design file. Super easy way for me to be able to work. Now, one of the other things I often want to be able to do is not only work with my libraries inside my design file, but I really want to be able to share them with the team. This is really where we collaborate with our extended team. So we've thought about that as well. We have extended the publishing mechanism inside of XD so that now, instead of not just being able to publish a prototype, I can now publish a library. So that when I come online here, we'll switch over, I now have not only my prototype tab, but I have a library tab. And here I have a style guide that is published and available across the entire team that we can work with. We can share colors, character styles, all of the elements of our design live, which is fantastic. So this is a great way for me to work with my assets and with my team on my assets. The other thing that Alan mentioned was working with my design, the different versions of my design. So let's go back in here, and we're going to open up XD again. And one thing I want you to notice as I open this up is something up at the file name here. You'll see that we have a little cloud icon next to it. That's because this XD design is actually being stored in Creative Cloud. And that means I get access to some new functionality, which is pretty cool. The first thing I want to show you is something we call visual versioning. So I'm going to move over to the part of the design that I'm working on. It has the mobile apps, and I'm working on the website. And I've got this square search bar here. And I'd actually done an earlier version of this design when I had a round search bar. I want to get that one. Typically, I'd have to go back and open up a whole bunch of different design files, try and find that and bring that in, but not anymore. Because this design file is stored in Creative Cloud, it is managing and storing everything for me. So I'm going to open up the new visual versioning toolbar. And this is actually a timeline of everything that's taken place in this design file while it's been stored in Creative Cloud. All the saves I've made, all of the saves the team or that Creative Cloud has made for me. And if I want to go back to the past, I simply click a marker, and I can begin to see exactly what this design looks like previously while keeping context directly while I'm in the design here. There's that circular search bar I want. When I come back, I can interact with it directly. I can grab it, copy it. I'm going to bring my versioning toolbar back up. I'm going to come back to the present again. I'm simply going to delete it, paste in a brand new one, and in a couple of seconds, I've just done something that used to be a real drag, right? Okay, so the other thing, of course, when I create a new version is now everyone else I'm working with is out of sync, and I want to make sure that we can solve that as well. So we can publish versions of our design just like we do with our prototypes and libraries. Of course, why not? So we have a brand new view in the browser just for that. I'll click over here. You'll see that it's called the spec view. When I click on that, this is a view for my developers. They can see the latest version of the design that I'm working with. They can get colors. They can get fonts. They can interact directly on the screen with this and actually get measurements. They can get code snippets, everything they need to bring my design to life, always ensuring that they're working with the latest published version of the design. Now, the other thing that we heard as we talked to Alan is we also have, of course, multiple designers working in the same design file at the same time, which is a big job to sync all of that stuff together. Now, one of the things that's really great about XD is it was built from the ground up for performance. That means we can have hundreds of artboards in the same design file. We can have Joan's mobile app. We can have my website. We can all be working together. The power of having an XD design file in Creative Cloud means that we can do that together now. So I'm going to show you exactly how that works. So first of all, I'm going to say hello to Joan again. Joan, thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah, no problem, Paul.
I appreciate it. OK. And Joan, we've been working in this design file together, so why don't you open it up as well? So Joan's going to open up her version of the design file. And while she's doing that, if we can, let's see if we can get both screens up on the main screen here. There we go. And mine's zoomed in a little bit differently than Joan's, so you can sort of tell who's working on each one here. And now I'm sure you've all probably have some familiarity with collaborating on something in real time. Maybe it's a document in a browser, maybe even a prototype. And you've told us that that's fine for making simple edits. But when you want to do real design work, you need the power of a native application like XD. Well, we believe you should be able to have your cake and eat it too. So let me show you how that works. First of all, I'm in the same design file as Joan here, and one thing I want you to notice on the right-hand side is we have a presence indicator. It is red for Joan, it is green for me. This is how we know who's working in the design with us at the same time. Now, as soon as I go into the artboard here and start to make an edit, you'll see that there's a badge that appears on the screen here that says PG is editing. This lets everybody in the design file know that I'm working on this artboard, so Joan can see that as well. Now I want to make a couple of changes here, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab an image, maybe drop it in the background, Text is a little washed out, so let's make that red. And of course, you'll notice that as I'm making these changes, Joan is seeing them all take place at the same in time. Let's say in Point Loma. You'll also notice that we've taken collaboration one step further than just at the document level. We're actually doing collaboration at the artboard level. What that means is that as I make changes in the design, everybody else can see those changes, but the artboard is locked because I'm using it, because we don't want designers coming in and stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah, that's right. So I think these changes look good, Paul. So I'm actually going to use the same image that Paul was using in my mobile application, because I definitely want that both the mobile and the web experience to be similar. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to copy that image from Paul's artboard, and I can see that it's locked. So that makes me happy that I'm not actually going to make any edits to his document, but I can go ahead, I can copy that image and paste that right into my artboard, and I'm done.
And there you have it, folks. That is real-time design collaboration in a native application inside of XD. Joan, I just want to thank you for your collaborative expertise. I literally could not have done this demo without you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.
Get it? Collaboration. Let's just do a quick recap. We've seen visual versioning and libraries, everything that I need to control my own assets and my own designs right inside of XD, where I work 8 hours a day. We've seen specs and publishing libraries as style guides, everything I need to collaborate with my extended team so that we can all work together. And we've seen artboard collaboration, real-time designers working together in the same design file because it's stored in Creative Cloud. And this is just some of the ways that we are improving XD and Creative Cloud to solve the real-world problems that today's design-led companies are facing. And of course, just like everything else in Adobe XD, it will be available as a cloud public beta coming soon. Can't wait to see what you guys think. OK. Thank you. So we've talked a lot about how the world is changing for experience design. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about the future of graphic design. Now, in the last decade, there has been a shift in how designers and advertising agencies are creating photorealistic images. It has moved from a photography-based workflow to one which relies on 2D and 3D elements. Now, why 3D? Well, 3D provides much deeper flexibility and creative control for designers. Now, we've been chatting with some of the leading agencies out there about how they're adopting this technology and how they see the industry changing. Let's take a look at what they have to say.
We are a brand that builds things for creators, with creators.
What we do is we solve big problems, come up with good ideas, and try and make an impact.
I think that design is understood in a completely new way. I think we're growing up with a generation that design is at the forefront and the baseline of everything that we see.
Every designer is always really excited and keen on having how to showcase, how to promote, how would my product look the best.
Every project is a house on fire.
Design is constantly having to keep up with technology. To be limited by technology is our absolute worst nightmare.
As the future of where things are going, the need for 3D is going to increase exponentially.
3D can feel really scary for designers.
Oh God, how are we going to be able to use that?
Well, I'm good at this. I don't know if I'm good at that. It's a new tool, and it's a pretty gnarly learning curve. The photo world and design world are blending in this way because the design is becoming more photographic. The photo world, there's this trend to be more graphic in the compositions. So 3D is like the sweet spot in the middle. One thing that I see that would be really beneficial is just roughing out ideas for product photography. The idea to get a sense for what your photo shoot's gonna look like and feel like is really helpful because it saves you money and it saves you time.
Obviously, as you plan shoots, for example, with athletes, you start to look at a major logistic confluence of factors like having samples, having the athlete, having the place, and all coming together at the right point in time. paradigm, and we have only barely scratched the surface of what one can do by avoiding that whole hassle and bringing in together things virtually.
We're in this massive transition period where we're about to hit.
It breaks the chains off of limiting us on ideas and really opens that space to really ideate about anything.
As you can see, 3D is really going to change the way that we work, and there's a lot of advantages in being able to use 3D. But you've also told us there are challenges as well, and it is particularly painful for small teams and individual designers. Well, today, I am really excited to share with you a brand new product called Project Felix. Felix is a new compositing tool that allows you to take 2D and 3D elements and create photorealistic images built specifically for graphic designers. Just as we fundamentally rethought the authoring paradigms for Adobe, for experience design with Adobe XD, we are doing the same thing with Project Felix. So to show you how Felix works and what it's all about, please help me welcome Zorana G.
Thanks, Paul. Hi, everyone. You like what you see so far? It's going to get better. We're going to hear a better whoop from you guys later. So, as Paul mentioned, Project Felix is a new tool for designers to enable us to create photorealistic imagery using both 3D and 2D assets without needing to be a 3D expert. Let me jump right in to show you what I'm talking about. So here's Project Felix, and I'm working on a comp for a client in developing a juice brand. I've created this completely inside of Project Felix, and I'm just going to use it right now to show you the UI, kind of walk you through the UI. Right now, I'm in a render mode, and I'm actually going to hop back into this design mode, and this is where I'll be primarily working. On the left-hand side, we have a single CC Libraries panel that has not only all your libraries, but has all the content you need to get started, in addition to all the content that you're going to use throughout the application, a single panel for all your assets. On the right-hand side, very similar to Adobe XD, we have a single contextual properties panel that shows you the information you need based on what you have selected on canvas. So Project Felix itself has both a working canvas space in addition to a real-time render preview down here at the bottom. The working canvas space gives you the fastest interaction possible, so it gives you that speed. It doesn't render for all the final effects, but it gives you that speed you need while working. Now down here, the render preview, this is really cool because this actually gives you a real-time render preview of your work while you're working before you actually go into the render mode. This is super cool because it gives you the best what you see is what you get experience while working with these effects. And you can expand and collapse this window at any time. Now what I'm going to do is actually start from scratch. I'm going to recreate that comp, and you're going to see how quickly I can go from nothing to something very cool in just a matter of minutes. Now, the first step is getting some assets. Not always easy to do, especially when I'm trying to get 3D content. But as I mentioned, this product has everything you need to get started. I'm super excited to announce that Adobe Stock is also introducing 3 new types of content to support the Felix workflows. Go to the Stock page and click into this new category. You can see we have thousands of new models, lights, and materials that are all optimized in Project Felix. Now for that particular comp, let's click into Models. And I want to start with a bottle. So I'll type bottle, and a bunch I can choose from here. And I'll find the one that I like, and when I do, I can just click license it, and it's going to download to my CC libraries. You guys have already seen us do this, so let's just hop back into Project Felix. I'll double-click the bottle and add that to my canvas. And now let me break apart this bottle a little bit so you can actually see what it's made up of. This particular model came in 3 separate pieces. It has an exterior bottle component, the glass that you see. It has a label component, and an also interior juice component that you can see is blue by default. Now, the exterior glass component is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this look, the material, the glass. The next thing I want to do is change the materials of some of the other parts to go for the exact look that I want. So let's choose that interior juice component, and I want to add a new material to that. As I mentioned, we have hundreds of new materials that are available on Stock, and a big subset of this available directly inside the application. So it allows me to work really quickly. So I have that juice component chosen, and let's just find a nice red liquid, and I'll double click it and it can add it right there. Pretty cool. Now the next thing is this label. I have a comp actually that I'm working on inside of Photoshop that I've completely optimized and created here, and I want to just use this file. Well, I can do that. In Felix, I can add any format to any material, but I've actually created a material here just for demonstration purposes that I can double click and add to this. Whoops, wrong component. Let's get the juice back on there. Choose the label. Let's get that material on there. And then now this is really cool because you can see that actually it's wrapping around the geometry really nicely. But further, it's actually respecting all the transparency and layers that I've set up inside of Photoshop. And even as I move the camera around, you can see that it's actually absorbing all the light scenario that's in this particular canvas. All right. Let's expand the render preview and see how things are looking. I think this is looking pretty good. But the next thing I do notice is that that bottle cap is not the right color. To be exactly on brand, I need this to be a specific blue. And as I mentioned earlier, this particular bottle came in 3 pieces, right? The exterior bottle component is actually just 1 piece. So typically what I need to do at this point is hand this off to the guy who created this model, or hand this off to my 3D guy, and have him break apart the polygons, break apart the pieces that I need, and then bring it back in here. Definitely not easy to do and pretty time-consuming. Well, we don't need to do that. We make selections easy in Felix. You guys familiar with the magic wand in Photoshop? No? Really? That sounded like a no to me. We have the magic wand in Felix. What that means is I can easily select, as easy it is to make selections inside of Photoshop, directly in 3D. So I can come over here and select different pieces of this, and we're going to logically find different partitions. And the way we find edges is we determine edges based on patterns, curves, symmetry, shape, and then we're using machine learning to determine which of these variables should take on the greatest weight when finding an edge. And just like the magic wand, I can shift-click or alt-click to add to my subtraction. And just like the magic wand, I can go ahead and increase the tolerance just to be a little bit more liberal in how we find edges. And there you go. You see I've selected out both the bottle as well as the bottle cap as well as the safety ring. And now all I need to do is change that material. Let's find a matte plastic. And I'm pretty happy with that, although I need to change that to be the exact blue, right? All the materials that we have inside of Felix are customizable. So I can change many properties, but if I just want to change the color of this, I can open up the color picker. Let's just darken that a little bit so that it's the exact blue that I'm looking for, and I think that looks great. Now I just want to add a couple of, all right, pretty easy. Now I just want to add a couple more pieces to this, a couple more models to this, just to fill out the composite a little bit. I've already downloaded a couple models like you just saw me do, and I have them here in my CC libraries. And let's go ahead and just add cherries. And I have a nice splash component that I'll add. The cherries are looking pretty good. I just need to rotate the splash a little bit so that it's not blocking the actual front of the bottle. Okay, and I'm going to change the material so that it's consistent with the juice material. Let's add that. And expand the render preview. That's looking really cool. I love the way that looks, the lighting, the material, the glass, the refraction, all that great stuff that I didn't have to think about. So it's not only important for me to have my object look realistic, but it's also really important for me to have this look realistic in terms of how I will be communicating the concept, how I'm going to be selling this idea, right? And where else is the best place to sell a refreshing cherry blast but one of these beaches outside of our conference hall that we're not all at right now? So I want to add some images, some beach images that I took a couple days ago to this actual background. And it's really easy to do that. I can select background layer and add any graphic from the background from CC libraries, or of course I can import any of the images that I just took from yesterday. Let's add this one. All right, that's looking pretty good. The next thing I just need to do really quick is just change the resolution of this, 1920 by 1080, so that it matches these ginormous screens behind me. And this is good. And this is actually one of the benefits of working with 3D, right? I can change the resolution of this at any time and target any screen that I want and re-render this, and I get high fidelity output. All right, off the bat, you're going to see that this doesn't look right? The object is way too big, it's out of scale. And typically what I need to do, what I'm doing right now, is picking up these camera tools and moving this around so that I'm actually trying to figure out where the horizon line is or where the ground is of this photograph and trying to match the object to that. Well, we make this really easy in Project Felix. Essentially, in a single click, align to horizon, I can click that and we're automatically going to snap the perspective of the camera to the vanishing point lines in the 2D photograph. And now you can see that as I'm moving this around and scaling this around, it always looks like it's sitting on the ground of that photograph, again, making it look more like the object actually belongs there. So this is cool. Let's take a look at the render preview. I like this. It's sitting on the ground. It's looking natural. I like the materials I've set up, but I'm sure some of you guys are critiquing the reflections and the lighting right now, right? It doesn't look right. And that's because it's taking on that default lighting in this application. If I'm using a background image, I want to actually use those exact light sources, right? And there's a couple ways that I can do this, traditionally. There's one way is I could figure out where the lights are, what type of lights they are, where the positions are, the fall off, the angle, all that fun stuff, or have my 3D guy do it, this hypothetical 3D guy, that is. Or I can actually take my 360-degree pano, go back to this exact location, take a 360 image of this, and wrap this around my scene so that my object is taking on the exact hue, colors, light, etc., the mood of this exact image. Well, both methods are really complicated, really out of reach, and really expensive. Again, lighting is easy inside of Felix. Let me collapse this. In a single click, again, we can click Create Light from Image, and we're automatically going to generate that 360-degree pano from this background image. If I click Adjust Lighting, you can see this is the pano that we've created, and now we're using this as the light source wrapped around my image so that my object actually naturally looks like it belongs there more. Let's expand the render preview. Now you can see the neck of the bottle is a nice blue. It's actually taking on the right lighting, and I can even adjust the threshold a little bit if I really want to clamp this down so the lights are really coming from that far right, and boost the intensity up. And then now you can see that actually the lighting looks more accurate, right? You get a bright highlight on the side of the image. You see the shadows of the cherries are actually coming towards the bottom left of the image, is what you would expect if there was a bright sunlight in the upper right. Things are looking good, and I'm actually ready to move on and render this. I want to bring this also into Photoshop, where I can access a wealth of features that I really love and that I'm really comfortable with. So let's go into the render mode and start this render. Now, essentially what Felix is doing right now is calculating for all that advanced lighting, that light setup that I created, how that light responds to all the materials, the refraction of the glass, the reflection. And it's also calculating for all those advanced shadows, how those shadows should respond to the light that I've set up. Rendering doesn't always mean go get a cup of coffee, especially if you're using Project Felix. We have state-of-the-art photorealistic rendering here. And in fact, in less time that it took me to say this is live rendering on stage, I'm actually pretty happy with this result. And I can bring this into Photoshop. You can stop your render at any time, and if I want to bring this into Photoshop, I can just say, create a Photoshop layered file for me, or in this case, I'm actually going to create a PNG snapshot and bring this into Photoshop, and let's go ahead and open that. Here's this file. Great. And this is the cool part now. I can actually just treat this like a photograph inside of Photoshop. But this is cooler because I actually created this completely from scratch. I have complete ownership of the whole process. If I need to change the label, the cherries, the objects, the color, the materials, the background, any of that, I can easily do so back in Project Felix. Now for this particular file, I just actually want to increase that bloom. I want to brighten that bloom effect a little bit, just to really push back that object more and make it a little bit more photographic. So let's go ahead and duplicate this layer. And I'm going to add a lens blur and increase the specular highlights. Really boost that up crazy to really bring that out. All right, got to wait for it here. This is the magic of Photoshop, right? Set that to screen, set this down to 20% or so. And then now you can see that, if I turn off this layer, this is great. It has great saturation, has a lot of contrast. I really like the way that looks. However, if I turn this layer on, it just adds a little bit more of that atmospheric effect, really pushing back that object into the photograph and just being more pleasing to the eye. I really like the way that looks much better. So that's the power of using Project Felix together with Photoshop. So I've been on the Photoshop team for 15 years. Yes, I really, really love the team. A lot more than that hypothetical 3D guy. But, you know, I've talked to a lot of you guys about these types of improvements, these types of workflows, and what we can do to improve on these types of workflows. And let's face it, working with 3D is really challenging and can be really hard. But we're committed, and today we're introducing a tool that balances power and ease of use for all designers. And this is Project Felix. Thank you.
Thank you, Zorana, and your hypothetical 3D guy. Project Felix is being built just like XD out in the open. You'll be able to get access to it as a public beta, which will be available at the end of this year. So we're really looking forward to seeing what you think of Felix. Now, as we've covered with Felix and with XD, we've shown you some new ways that we are reimagining the tools and the systems that all of us are going to use to create the content of tomorrow. But we're not just challenged with creating the content of tomorrow, we're also challenged by how much content we need to create, which is only compounded by the number of screens and the number of channels that all of that content has to go. How many times have you been asked to create a quick graphic and then spent the rest of the day trying to make sure it looks good on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and a social blog post and on and on and on and on? The pressure on all of us to create content that just looks good everywhere is enormous. Earlier this year, we introduced a new set of tools and services that were specifically built to help anybody quickly create content and communicate an idea socially or online. And we called it Adobe Spark. And what got us really excited is just how many designers have started picking up Spark when they need to create something really quick that they know is going to look good everywhere. In fact, we have been so inspired that we have actually started to add new features to Spark just for you. So to show you how Spark works today, as well as where it's beginning to go, I would like to invite to the stage Michael Ninnis to show us Adobe Spark.
Thank you, Paul. Good morning, everyone. So Adobe Spark, it's an integrated web and mobile solution for creating and sharing digital content. Today, Spark lets you create and publish 3 different formats: post, page, and video. I'll give you a brief tour of all 3 of those in just a moment. For now, I need to create some content to promote a nonprofit organization called Pedal Revolution, and I'm going to start by creating some graphics to post on social media with Spark Post. You begin by telling Post what you want your graphic to say and choosing a size or the social media platform you want to target. I'll choose Instagram for now and click Continue. Post creates a starter design for me, but I'm in complete control of what this design is going to end up looking like. This is just to get me started. I'm going to begin by uploading my own photo. Just navigating to the photo I want to use, and we're going to use these bikes here. Now, all 3 of the formats in Spark are powered by themes, and those control design elements like fonts, color, layout, motion. It varies depending on the format we're working on. These are not static templates. These are clickable design choices that you can apply to your content, and makes it really quick just to get some inspiration and get some starting points, and of course you can customize them as you go as well. I'm going to go ahead and choose that theme as my starting point. That's great. I'm going to go to my background tab, and I'm going to remove the photo filter that was part of that theme because I just want the clean image there. I'm going to go ahead and select the text, and I want that text to pop off that background a little bit more, so I'm going to go to the shape options, and I can choose a background shape to go behind my text. I'm just going to choose a simple square there. Go ahead and save that. Post has magic text resize, so as I resize that text frame, you'll see it automatically lays out that text in a pleasing way. Pretty difficult to do that in other tools here. So I'm going to go ahead and center that. That's looking good. Now, all the Spark formats can be created in the browser, but they also have companion mobile apps as well. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the iPhone here, open up Spark Post, and you'll see that design that I started on the web is already here waiting for me to customize and continue editing. So I'll tap that open. That looks great. First thing I'm going to do is add a little bit more text to that. I didn't get the text quite right the first time. So I'm going to select all. Paste that in there, which wasn't there, so I'll just add it manually to Pedal revolution. Nothing more nerve-wracking than typing on a tiny phone in front of 10,000 people. All right, so I have more text now. I might want to relay out that text just to play around with how that looks. That looks good there, awesome. And I'm ready to share this to Instagram. I can just tap the share button, choose the social network that I want to take it to, and then continue on my way. But we said earlier, I want to make this design look good on all the social media platforms. So Post has a wonderful feature. It's called Magic Resize. I tap the Resize button, and with a single tap, let's say I need this for Pinterest, or Twitter, or Facebook, or back to Instagram. All right, so that's Spark Post in a nutshell. Let's switch to our second format, Spark Video. And Spark Video is great for creating animated videos, perfect for sharing on social media to tell your story and get a message out. I'm going to go ahead and open up a project that I had started earlier, and you'll see that Spark Video uses a simple slide-based metaphor instead of a complicated timeline. On every single slide, you can record your voice, you can add a background image, you can add text, logos, icons, and so forth. And coming soon to Spark Video, you'll be able to add and insert video clips as well. It's as simple as tapping a plus button and navigating to where your video clips are located. I'm going to go ahead and grab this clip. By default, Spark Video trims it down to the first 3 seconds of that. You can, of course, move the trim to a different section or elongate or shorten the trim. I'll just go with the default and tap done. Now, I want this video to continue playing on the second slide, and I don't want to deal with having to synchronize the video clips across those 2 different slides. Spark Video makes this drop dead simple. I'm just going to tap the Continue From Here button. It's going to automatically create a second slide for me, and it automatically moves that playhead over to where it stopped from the previous slide. So it'll just play synchronously, whatever, across those 2 slides. All right, I'm going to add my text to the top of this slide as well. So I'll type in your commute. Looking good, tap done. And then as a final step, I can also add a background music track to my entire video. Spark Video ships with many video tracks that you can choose from, or you can also upload your own if you have one that you want to use. Looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the finished video. All right, pretty cool. All right, let's bring this home by talking about that third format in Spark Page, which is used to create beautiful, responsive web pages that look great on every device. You can use it to create a wide variety of rich, modern documents, things like presentations, proposals, stories, one-page websites, and much more. You begin by clicking the plus button. By now, you should figure out if you can click a plus button, you can use Adobe Spark. So we're going to add a title to our story. Recycle your cycle. Great. And we'll add a cover image to start our story. Again, we'll navigate to where our photos are located, and I'm going to choose this image here as my cover image. Now, we're creating responsive web pages here, so one of the great features of Spark Page is the ability to set a focal point for all of your images. If I turn that on, you'll see there's a little preview in the upper right-hand corner showing what this image would look like in a vertical-oriented screen like a phone. I can move this dot around to wherever I think is the most important part of the image. So regardless what screen size or orientation, that's always going to focus the right portion of the image. Go ahead and click Save. That looks good. I want this title to be at the top. I don't want it to compete with the image. And just like you saw in Post, all the formats are powered by themes. I'm going to choose a different theme here to choose different typefaces and colors and so forth. And then I can just continue adding additional content by clicking the plus button and continuing on. Instead of doing that, I'm completing this document, I'm going to switch to a document that's partially completed so I can show off a few more of the editing features of Spark Page. This paragraph, we want it to be a block quote, so we'll just click the block quote button. That looks a little bit better. For this image, I want it to be a window instead of an inline. This gives me a nice reveal effect as I scroll. That looks pretty cool. As we get into this section of the page, this is what we call a glide show. So the background image zooms subtly up, and I can have an option for a floating caption bar as it goes by as well. And then to finish this off, I'm going to add a photo grid. Click the plus button again, click photo grid, and navigate to the images that I want to use for that photo grid. I'm going to go ahead and select those 3. For this one, I want it to be bigger than the other 2. That looks good. We'll click Save. And there's my photo grid with just a couple clicks. We'll just scroll back up to the top. And again, just like all the other formats, we can edit on the go with the companion mobile app as well. Let's open up Spark Page on the iPhone here. It'll synchronize the edit that I just made over on the web. And we'll tap that open, and you'll see it's automatically been formatted to look great on a phone as well. Okay. Thank you. Now, it's important to know this is not just a preview app. This is the full-blown editor in your pocket. So anytime you see that plus sign, you can add more content, you can tap in any element to edit it, and so forth. Pretty cool. All right, lastly, let's switch back to the browser one more time. Coming soon to Adobe Spark, you're going to be able to create your own branded custom themes. So all the formats come with themes built in. We showed those earlier. And you can see Pedal Revolution has created their own custom theme, where you can choose your brand's colors, your brand's fonts, upload your brand logos and your other assets, and Spark will be able to create branded themes for you to use across all of these formats. So with a single click, this page is now using their custom brand look and feel. Pretty awesome. Okay, so in just a few minutes, I was able to create beautiful graphics optimized for every social media platform with Spark Post. I was able to create a beautiful, compelling video vignette, perfect to post on social media with Spark Video, and I created a gorgeous modern document as a responsive web page with Spark Page. That's your whirlwind tour of Adobe Spark. Virtual drop mic. Thank you.
That was a lot of content. That was a lot of content. So we released the Spark service in May of this year. You guys can access it at spark.adobe.com, and you can join the over 3 million people that are already using Spark to create amazing content. So, as you can see from the section and all the things that we've covered, we believe that the future of design is, of course, about being able to create great content. But even more than ever, it's about the people and it's about the workflows that surround the content that you're creating. The new solutions that we shared with you today, they marry the best of design with the best of collaboration, and we are just getting started. So thank you very, very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Paul kind of had a lot to say, didn't he? Thought I wasn't going to get out here again, spend some time with you guys. So as you see, we are fundamentally rethinking the role that our creative tools and Creative Cloud play in the design process. Adobe XD is evolving new workflows that make iteration, exploration, and collaboration easier than ever before. And Project Felix. With Project Felix now, you can quickly create photorealistic compositions, merging together 3D and 2D without having to become a 3D expert. And finally, we hope we sparked your interest. I'm sorry. With Adobe Spark, making it easy to leverage your existing design assets and to publish to multiple channels automatically. And you'll see a lot more functionality coming that's specific to you, designers and creators. We're doing this all in the open. We're doing this all in close collaboration with all of you, the creative community. So thank you for all of your participation, and please continue to give us feedback. Now let's talk a little bit about video. Did anyone hear video? Okay, great. Last year at Max, I had the pleasure of having Tim Miller, the director of Deadpool, join me on stage. That was before we played that rockin' trailer. It was an awesome film. And he told us all about how he uses Premiere Pro and After Effects to edit the wildly popular film Deadpool. And we continue to see Hollywood adopt Premiere Pro and the rest of the Creative Cloud to power additional blockbuster films. So we saw this year Hail Caesar from the Coen brothers. And later this year, the highly anticipated Godzilla Resurgence will hit the theaters, okay? Fully edited in Premiere Pro. But Premiere isn't stopping in Hollywood. In fact, 70% of the indie films shown at Sundance this year use Premiere Pro and Creative Cloud to produce. So, had a little bit of a mark. So you can see that the Creative Cloud video tools have become the industry standard because they provide the power and the performance that video professionals demand. But video isn't just about professionals, and it's not just about film. Video is quickly emerging as a dominant format, a vital medium for designers. whether it be for marketing or putting training on a website or for creating a vlog, and I just learned that word a couple weeks ago, for YouTube. Creative Cloud's video tools they deliver the power, they give you room to grow, and they allow all creators to tell their stories. What I'd like to do is invite one of our key stories. Oh, he's right here already. Jason Levine, take it away and tell us about video. Right.
Hi. How are you? My name is Jason Levine. Thank you, Bryan, for that lovely introduction. All right, my friends, well, I am here to talk to you about video. And while Bryan was just telling you how Hollywood continues to adopt Premiere Pro for our films that we see and love every day, I'm here to tell you how all of you, with the devices you use every day, can shoot video and tell a story with sound, with beautiful cinematic color, motion graphics, 3D logos, and then publish your story, publish your videos directly from within Premiere Pro to your favorite social networks right inside the application. So let's get started. Now, recently I was in Amsterdam at the IBC Broadcast Convention, and I got this idea to start shooting a travelogue series. So I went around town with my friends Mike and Carl, and we shot some footage around the city, and I really tried to sort of capture everything that's very representative of Amsterdam and the Netherlands. Now, often when I do that, I'll take all those clips, drag them down into a timeline, and then just kind of review the kinds of shots that I got to kind of give me an idea of where I want this story to go. Now, the first thing that I'll do when I really want to try to bring some life to this story is to add beautiful cinematic color. Now, for that, I'm going to turn to the Lumetri color panel. And if you look at the basic corrections tab here, you're going to see a lot of familiar controls. If you've ever processed an image in Lightroom's Develop module, and I hope you have, these are going to look very familiar to you, right? You have manual control for exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows, and that's wonderful, and we love that. But sometimes you just want to get to it. Right? Someone just fell over here. You just get to it. So for that, I'm going to turn to the creative panel here, where we have dozens and dozens of preset looks, color presets to automatically stylize your content. We've got a preview viewer here, which is going to show you what it'll look like before you actually apply it. I happen to have found one that I really, really like called Gold Orange. So let me go ahead and grab this, add it to the clip, and right away it just looks so much better. Let me go ahead and adjust the intensity here a little bit. I'll add a little bit of faded film. And I've also gone ahead and added a little S-curve to this to make the contrast pop a bit more. And it just, there's life. Before, lifeless, flat, boring, aw. After, ah. Lifeless, aw. With life. You get the idea. Right? You feel it? Thank you, singular person in the back. 11,000, just one guy. Yeah. All right. Now that's if you're trying to color correct the entire shot. Now this whole series of mine was filmed in one day. And naturally, you don't always get the shots looking the way you want them when you've only got one opportunity to capture. So in this case, I've got this shot here where I just didn't get the blue sky that I really wanted. And I really want to be able to correct just the blue sky. So we have a new feature in the Lumetri color panel called HSL secondaries, which will allow you to actually target a specific color range, and then using the familiar Adobe eyedroppers, just correct the selected color, the selected pixels. I'm going to go ahead and here and make a selection. I'm going to turn on the mask, and when I do that, the area that you see there in blue represents the area that I will be able to color correct, and the area in white will not be affected. And I've got total control over hue, saturation, and luminance simply by making a slight adjustment here to the luminance slider. I'm going to bring back in some of that sky in the bottom left-hand corner. You see we're getting a little bit of the reflection in the glass there. That's totally cool, totally legit. So we set the mask, we create the matte. We can then refine it by denoising or adding a little bit of blur. I'm going to come down to the correction section here and to my color temperature slider and just restore that blue sky to the way we wished we'd had it. Oh yeah! Oh! No! 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 I don't know why I do that sometimes. It just... What I really wanted to tell you was that with uninterrupted preview in Premiere Pro, you can also sort of play this back and see the mask and see how it's affecting that clip as you go, right? So, color correction for the entire clip, color correction with HSL secondaries for a portion of the clip. Now, as I continued to review this footage, naturally, one day shoot, I didn't capture all of the iconic sort of images that I had in my mind for Amsterdam and really the Netherlands in general. And by that, I'm simply talking about windmills. So where might you ask, am I going to find windmills shot in 4K? Adobe Stock, yes! Good guess. So let me go ahead and switch over my workspace here, and we'll bounce into the Libraries panel. And directly from within Premiere Pro, I'm going to type Amsterdam Windmill 4K. Now we've got, well, I will attempt to type Amsterdam Windmill 4K. Amsterdam Windmill 4K. Now we've got filtered search here, so I'm searching only on video, and you can see it returns all of the video results. If I want more detail about those videos, let me go over to the side here, click on this. I think I like this one. And this now gives me all of the attributes of that video. I can see the actual dimensions. It's true 4K, Ultra HD. This is a motion JPEG. It's 12 seconds, frame rate 25. And directly from here, I can save it down to my Creative Cloud library. Go ahead and do that. Bounce back over to Premiere Pro, over to our project panel where I've already inserted this clip. Let's go ahead and drag it down into the timeline now. And now I can begin processing this one just as we did the others. Of course, we've got the watermark there. Okay, so the first thing I'll do, just as you saw again, this is my typical process. Go into Creative, just kind of a quick idea. What can I do to this? How can I make it feel like the others? Okay, I happen to like this Fuji Kodak. That looks pretty good. Again, a little bit of an adjustment on the intensity, a little bit of faded film, and then perhaps just a slight amount of vignetting, a little cinematic vignetting right there. Perfect. Now, at this point, if I like it and I want to actually license this, just as Brooke talked about earlier, what really differentiates Adobe Stock from everyone else is that you can license and continue working, and everything that you've done remains. So directly from the clip inside the timeline, I can right-click here, I can choose License. It begins downloading the full resolution 4K version in the background. The watermark will go away, the file swaps out, and all of the color changes that I've done remain, keeping me in the creative zone, allowing me to keep on working and keep telling that story quite brilliantly. Do we dig that? Has hair in the throat. So now my story's coming together. And now we need some infographics. I want to tell people, where am I? What's going on? What are you doing? So for that, I'm going to turn to After Effects. So let's click back over to After Effects here, where I had an agency friend of mine design just a very simple animated lower third. Many of you have seen these. You see this everywhere, right? In news, in TV, broadcast, everywhere. Lower third graphics, something to tell you what's happening in the video. Now, traditionally, because this was designed by an agency for me, they would probably package this up, render it out, put the text in that I needed, send me those files, probably give me the project file too, and then I'd import those renders and bring them into Premiere. Well, we have a feature in After Effects called Live Text Templates, which actually allows me to save this out as a reusable template project. And for you AE nerds out there, it's a new file format called AECAP. Oh. Right? Yes, oh yes. 16 people, yes! Formats. Back into Premiere Pro. Switch my workspace again to my live text templates. Thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and click over here. Let's just wind back a little bit. Oh, stealing my own thunder there. Now, welcome. Now, the name of my show, incidentally, is called Jace's Places. Took me a whole week to come up with that. No, 2 weeks, who might get to Jace's Travel Places. All right, and you can see the lower third graphic down there. I'm sorry, I have to pause on myself. There's no good still frame ever. All right, so when I double click on this, now you can actually see the live text template in Premiere's Source Monitor, and directly from within Premiere. I never have to go back to After Effects, and this is key. I can make changes on the canvas. So in fact, I will say Amsterdam, and for our title caption, this will be Live in the City. Okay? Woo! Wind it back, hit play, real time, rockin', done. Today we are in Amsterdam. All right, oh wait. I'm not done yet. No, I'm kind of done actually. But what I was going to get at was, these are templates. you're going to use multiple versions of that template, right? So once again, I've got another one here, which I'm placing down on the left. This one represents where I was at Central Station. Once again, drag it down into the timeline, go ahead and click play, and there we are once again, all right? So live text templates, packaged up from After Effects, brought into Premiere Pro, and these are fully editable at any time. This is not a render, okay? So you can always use the standard Adobe Edit Original to go back to After Effects, modify the original. Any change that you make there automatically updates in Premiere Pro. Are you feeling what I'm talking about? Super. Thank you. So now we have our story. We have our motion graphics, our infographics. Now I needed to start thinking about my title sequence. And I wanted probably something in 3D. So once again, I turned to a friend to start with a logo for me for Jace's Places. And you can see here we are in Illustrator, standard multi-layered Illustrator file. And one of the brilliant things really with Illustrator files and PSDs, these are native to After Effects, okay? So one of the first steps that I'll sort of take when I bring something like that into After Effects is to do a very basic sort of position, opacity, scale animation, just in 2D, just to kind of bring it to life just a little bit. So let's go ahead and click play on this. All right, scrub through it here, and you can kind of see how this looks. Now that's okay, it's flat. It needs more life. So one way to bring more life to a logo like this is to work in 3D. Very easy to do in After Effects. So I added the camera. I'm using After Effects Classic 3D. Let's add a couple of lights here. And that looks pretty good. The thing is, though, is that this isn't actually 3D. We're actually projecting 2D layers in a 3D space. And you can really get a feel for that, a sense of that. If I come down here, I've got all of my layers kind of grouped together. If I pull them apart, you can see they're really it's kind of what we refer to as 2.5D. So if I wanted to really do some beautiful extrusion, more advanced 3D, typically you'd have to go to another 3D application, something like Cinema 4D Lite, which we actually ship with directly inside of After Effects and premiered here on the Mac stage just a couple of years ago. Well, what if we could bring the power of that extrusion engine to the After Effects user? We don't want you to have to leave the space here to do this kind of basic operation. What if you could do it right here? Well, now you can with the new native Cinema 4D render engine. And I'm going to show you how this works. Let's go. Oh, yes, it is indeed clap-worthy. But wait for it. So here I have, again, those layers sort of expanded. I've got my extrusion percentage. And one thing that you'll notice that when you add the Cinema 4D or switch to the Cinema 4D renderer, you're going to have all these new geometry options that you didn't have before. So directly here, again, just right on canvas, I can begin to extrude this. And there it is. I don't have to leave After Effects to do that. And to give you an idea, sort of doing it across all of the characters here, let's do something a bit extreme, something like that. Give it a second. And there it is. And that's a bit much. That's okay. Let's go ahead and wind this back. I'll play it for you here. Play a little bit of this. Jace's Travel Places in full effect. Okay, with my extrusion. Sorry, I'm scrubbing through it here. And that looks pretty good. So once again, what am I thinking? I think I need to bring this into Premiere Pro. But I don't want to render this because I can never commit until the very end. You dig what I'm saying? So once again, leveraging our dynamic link technology, a non-render process that allows me to bring After Effects compositions directly into Premiere Pro. I can go ahead, bring it into my project panel, which I have. You can see it down here. There's Jace's Travel Places. Drag it down into the timeline, wind back, hit play.
Let's take a look.
Let's take a look. And there it is, okay? Jace's Places with the new Cinema 4D render engine. And again, just like with live text templates, I can right-click, edit original, go back to After Effects, tweak any element of that, any change that I make there automatically updates inside of Premiere Pro. Pretty awesome. Yeah? You like that? All right, thank you. Looking at myself, sorry. I'm busted. All right. So I was thinking maybe just before I show you my last bit, a little audience participation. This is something, you guys down with this? Yeah? A little bit? Okay, it's 8 words. It's 8 words that I want you to say. And those 8 words are gather the crowd, shout it aloud, Creative Cloud. And it goes like this. Feel free to clap if you want, otherwise it's just embarrassing for me. Gather the crowd, shout it aloud, Creative Cloud. One more time, like this. Gather the crowd, shout it aloud, Creative Cloud. Now it's your turn. Ready? 2, 3, 4. That's pretty good. All right. Let's do it without the clapping. It's drowning out the voices. Gather the crowd, shout it aloud, Creative Cloud. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Creative Cloud. Yeah, Creative Cloud. Yeah, Creative Cloud. Let's talk about social publishing. Now, Michael was just talking to you about Spark, and he was showing you how you can publish videos to your favorite social destinations. And one thing is, it's not so easy. And particularly if you're in video, you know that whether you go to Facebook, or to Vimeo, or to YouTube, or to Twitter, or Behance, there's different requirements. There's different frame sizes. There's different frame rates. There's different audio codecs. Do you know the particular frame size that they want for Twitter, sir, in the 15th row? No. Do you, madam, in the 638th row back there? No. Do you care? No. No, I mean, not really. Telling the story, editing the story, crafting the story, that's the hard part. Sharing, publishing should be easy. So I'm very happy to sneak peek a new feature for you in Premiere Pro that allows you to publish directly to your favorite social destinations. YouTube, Twitter, Behance, Facebook, directly from within Premiere Pro with simplicity. Right at the top, I'm logged into YouTube. I can go to export settings. I don't have to know about codecs or frame size. It automatically shows me what YouTube requires. All the way to the left, 4K. All the way to the right, SD. Even simpler, big, small. You want it big, go to the left. You want it right, you want it small, you know what I mean. You don't have to think about it. You don't even have to know what I'm talking about. Do I? I do. Now, I happen to have a channel called Jace's Places, and I happen to have a playlist that I want to send this to as well. I'm going to give it a title. We'll call this Jace in Amsterdam. This is so low. Give it a description here. Jason wanders the city. Very appropriate. You can set your category, but here's where this gets really interesting. Tags. Now, this is a travelogue series, which means I'm probably going to have a lot of tags that will get reused over and over again. So again, our wonderful engineers thought ahead. They said, okay, we need to be able to allow you to save tag presets, right? Perfect, you can do that right here. But where this gets really cool is that as you begin to publish content through the social publishing panel, it's going to start returning results for you as to what keywords really resonated with your viewers in an effort to grow your audience, to connect and engage further with your audience. So this is an invaluable piece of information here right inside the panel in Premiere Pro as you're publishing. You set your thumbnail, you publish now, and you're done. And if you want to make multiple renditions for YouTube, for Facebook, you can do that and publish them all directly from this new panel, right? Making it easy, taking away all the codec, the frame size, the frame rate, is it HD or SD, I don't know. Can I share my video with my friends? Yes, you can. So, we started with the device that we carry around every day. We shoot some video, we add beautiful cinematic color, HSL secondaries, live text templates for motion graphics, 3D animated logos, and then the ability to sing and share directly through the social publishing panel. And that is truly the promise of Creative Cloud, delivering continuous innovation, listening to what you, the community, wants, and bringing it right to you. Thank you very much.
What do you say after that? I'm always left speechless by Jason, and I know that's a phrase he doesn't even know the meaning of. Next year, we're going to constrain his demo to audio products. Wow. So simple but powerful controls, color controls. What do I say? More advanced 3D support, reusable live text templates, and a brand new publishing workflow to make publishing brain dead simple on social. A lot of great stuff there. And these are just a few of the new features making it easier. There's a lot more in the video products. So go check them out. There's a lot for studio pros. There's a lot of new functionality for designers, for YouTubers to tell your stories. It's all about clearly telling your stories. But you know, Jason, I think there's one thing, just one thing, that you forgot to mention. Adobe Character Animator. Adobe Character Animator has been one of the most popular new video tools that we've developed over the past few years. And Character Animator, for those of you who don't know it, lets you bring your characters to life using your own artwork and your own expressions. And it's being used more and more for live animation on broadcast television. For example, The Simpsons used Character Animator to broadcast their first ever live episode. It's really been a joy to work closely with Fox and The Simpsons production team through the exciting journey they've been on with live animated shows. And now I'd like to tell us more about The Simpsons' use of Character Animator and their focus on bringing animations to life. I'd like to invite Bart Simpson to the Mac stage. So, here we are. Okay, great.
Hello everyone.
Hey Bart, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Hello, all you fine people.
Let's say hello to Bart.
Hey, anything that gets me out of school, Mr. Lamkin.
Thank you. Hey, I have to say, it's really surprising to see you at a conference on creativity.
Well, actually, I'm thinking of getting into e-pranks, catfishing. I mean, I'm not going to be 10 forever, you know.
Bart, you can't do that. Haven't you read your T's and C's?
Oh, yeah, I read them all. Loser.
Now, your father, Homer, appeared on live TV via Adobe Character Animator software. Do you remember that?
Well, yeah, but I heard the reason you invented it was because my dad was too fat for the green screen.
Do you actually use Adobe products yourself?
Well, sure, of course. I live in an Adobe household. It's made of old clay that melts when it rains. Seriously. I love Adobe Photoshop. I use it to change all the F's on my report card to dog butts. I mean, not to brag or anything, but last semester I got straight dog butts. Well, of course, who doesn't use Adobe Acrobat? I didn't get a notification asking me the update today, so I'm just wondering, is everything all right with you guys?
Bart, thank you. We're all alive and well here at Adobe. I'm just thrilled that you're here live today. In fact, I'd like you to take a moment to prove that this conversation is actually not pre-recorded.
Oh, well, yeah, no problem. I mean, as of today, the Adobe stock is priced at... Uh-oh, it just dropped 5 points. But 10 points. Uh-oh. No, actually, I'm just kidding. You guys are doing great. Best Adobe Creative Activity Conference ever. Goodbye, everybody!
Thank you. So we... So we've heard from Bart. Now I'd like to invite Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson, and the Simpsons director, David Silverman, to the stage. Takes them a while to become three-dimensional, so.
Hi.
Run! Thank you, guys. That was awesome.
That was fun.
Whoa!
Hello, everybody. Well,
so
Hi, what's happening, man?
a lot of people out there.
Oh my word! Look at all these gigazoids. Very cool.
Designozoids. Thanks to both of you. I heard you just finished up your 600th episode. I'm on number 437. So
yes, we're actually in production. I think we're at 622. So you know,
620.
we keep
Wow.
rolling.
Give them a hand. So 622. I think we all want to thank you for keeping us entertained over the past several decades.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a long time. How did you actually meet?
Believe it or not, we met when we were students at UCLA. Back in 19, and I'd gone to I was studying animation, obviously, at UCLA, and I went to UCLA library to take out some books of animation, and lo and behold, this lovely little girl was there, and she was kind of working as a librarian, right? And when I was getting books about animation, she was like, "Oh, you're interested in animation too?" I said, "Yes." And we started talking about things, and she said she was studying with Dawes Butler. Did I know who Dawes Butler is? I said, "Of course I know who Dawes Butler is. You know, voices so many great characters and so forth." And we became very friendly.
That's right.
And we kind of said something along the lines of like, one day maybe we'll be working on a show together, some really cool show.
We made a pact. We literally shook hands on a deal and said, let's make sure that we work on some television series that becomes a big hit, and we will work on it together. That was in 1981. Okay?
Yep, 1981.
Oh, it's true. And all these years went by, and I think it was a Butterfingers. It could have been at Film Roman, but I remember I looked up at David, and I saw you coming into the room, and I recognized you. Hadn't seen you in such a long time.
It was 7 years later. It was 1988 for the Butterfinger commercial.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, are you the director? And you said?
Well, I'm directing this commercial, yes.
And what did you say to me?
I said, I don't know. What did I say?
Are you Bart?
Are you Bart? That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was amazing. So look,
Got my cue.
I think it's a great point to make with all you folks out in the audience. You never know who is sitting behind you, who's in front of you. You make these relationships along the way in your life. And you can actually make an agreement with someone, or even if it's just with yourself, you put a dream there. And all these steps along the way and what Adobe has to offer, all these dreams for all you dream makers out there, it's possible for these things to really, really come true. Because that's what you are. You're all artists. You're creative. You can create these things for yourself to make the world a better, cleaner, more beautiful place.
Awesome.
Yeah. You're amazing.
So make some connections out there while you're.
I think we all just want to thank you all. Thank you both for taking the time to join us on the Mac stage, and we look forward to episode number 900. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So that was video. I think we kept it moving there. Let's wrap up today with news and photography. And I know Brian O'Neill Hughes, who I'll invite out in a moment, he always tries to convince me not to have him follow Jason, but this is the natural order of things. So, photography. The broad popularity of smartphones equipped with high-resolution cameras and the explosion of social media come together to make photography centralized, to put photography on center stage in all of our lives. But while we all have our camera with us at all times in our pocket or in our purse, the same can't be said for all of our photos. All too frequently, our best photographs, including our most recent edits, get stranded on the islands that are our desktops, our smartphones, and our iPads. Others have tried to solve this problem simply by storing the files in the cloud. But access to our files is only part of the solution. We also need access to all of our recent edits. We need a non-destructive workflow that lets us experiment and explore with the tools, and tools that are powerful enough for professionals, and yet at the same time don't limit our creativity. This is the cloud-native photography service that we are building with Lightroom. It's a service that spans mobile, desktop, and web, and it revolves around 3 core tenets. First, cloud-native. It's not just that your photographs are stored in the cloud, but your edits are too. and they are available to you anywhere, anytime. Next, non-destructive workflows. Whether you're working on the desktop, working on your phone or your iPad, your edits can always be reverted, so you have the freedom to experiment and explore like never before. And finally, the focus on experience, a modern user experience that puts the most common tasks front and center, yet reveals much more power when you need it. Lightroom and Photoshop have long been the gold standard in your photography workflow. And today we are excited to share with you a glimpse of the future of photography from Adobe. To take us through that, I'd like to invite Brian O'Neill Hughes, who's already standing next to me on stage here. Take it away, Brian.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Last year, I followed Jason Levine, and for very obvious reasons, I asked if I could please not do that again. It's an impossible act to follow. And they said, yeah, no problem. This year, you're going to follow the most iconic animated character of your lifetime. Got it. So either this is a really elaborate practical joke, or they believe that I have something interesting to show you. I certainly believe I do. So let's jump right in with photography. I want to start with Lightroom Mobile. And Lightroom Mobile is an incredible app. It gives me access to all of my photos, access to all of my edits with Lightroom Power. I'm running it here on the iPhone 7. This is a fantastic camera for taking pictures. In fact, using Lightroom Mobile, I can capture true raw DNG files with my phone. I'm loving using it for that. What's great about it is that those raw captures live alongside my desktop raw files and any images I might have brought in with my iPad. And so that's what I did with this image here. I used the camera connection kit to bring this into my iPad Pro, and it's just sitting right here. Now, I have tremendous power here. There's all sorts of things I can do, but one of my favorite features in here is autotone. I'm going to just touch autotone. Touch one button, and look what happened to that image. I'm going to undo that so you can see how it looked when I started. This is the flat files that came off the camera. I touch autotone, and what's happening is we're analyzing the histogram, and we're comparing it to histograms of professional photographers for this great adaptive result. So I'm going to come in here, add a little bit of clarity, and let's go ahead and make this black and white. And as I zoom in here, I'm going to just touch for before, really dark and muddy, and after. That's the sort of thing you can only do with a raw file, and I just did that on my phone. Oh, thank you. Okay, so I love the phone. It gives me access everywhere. I love the camera. I use it constantly. But when it comes to editing, I like to use my iPad Pro. I've got this enormous, beautiful screen. It's a great way to work. So I'm going to come over here, and we're just going to go ahead and launch Lightroom Mobile here. And what I'll notice as I come in here is that I have access to all of those same files. They're right here waiting for me, and I can continue right where I started there. And as I mentioned before, I can bring in photos using the camera connection kit right into here. I can ingest raw files, and I can edit raw files, and I can tell you photographers have been wanting to do this forever. 6 months ago, that wasn't possible. So let me show you how this works. I mentioned before that I have some desktop raw files. This is a file that I spent about 20 minutes on the desktop editing. And I can replicate all of these edits here, but the easiest way to take advantage of this is simply to touch and hold, copy those settings, and then we're going to move back here, and I'm going to go ahead and grab another image from that same day, this one of the Ferrari here. Haven't edited this at all. I'm going to paste those settings in here, and immediately they copy right over. And what's great about this is it's natively non-destructive, right? I can change any of this after the fact. I can change the crop. I can come in here. I can change it back to color. And I've done all of that really, really quickly. Now, if I double-click here and zoom in, we can even see the expression on the driver's face. We have a tremendous amount of information here because it's an uncompressed raw file. Now, I find that headlight a little bit distracting, so I'm going to come in and adjust the colors here. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. I have that full desktop power. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the luminance control, and I'm just going to touch on that and pull that down. I don't have to guess what color that is. I'm just touching on it and pulling it down. I'm going to do the same thing with saturation. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I mean, this is a great example of something that's just as powerful as the desktop, but I think even easier to do. Thank you. I'm going to do the same thing with the saturation, adjusting just that one portion. So let's come back there and look at that before and after. Really dramatic difference. You can see how we copied over those settings and really took it far. Now, what if you don't have a desktop file to leverage? Okay, I realize not all of you have that. Let's look at an image exactly as it came off the camera. Again, this is another one off of the Leica Q. It's a DNG file. Obviously, I'm a car guy. I like the composition. I love the car, but it's flat. And I'm sure you guys have encountered this before. There's a difference between what you shot and what you saw. And I think of editing as that bridge between them. So as I come in to edit this file, again, I'm going to hit Auto Tone. And it's going to dramatically change this image. It's going to look a lot better right away. I'm going to pull in my highlights. But what I'm missing here is the drama in the sky. And for that, I love to use dehaze. Okay? Dehaze, I just pull the slider to the right there, and I cut through all of that atmospheric haze. It's kind of like a digital polarizer. The only problem with this image, if you notice, I'm darkening the foreground a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a local adjustment. Now, this is something I haven't been able to do here until just recently, and it's fantastic. Not only do I have the desktop power, but I've got this really nice touch environment where I can just drop a gradient right there. I can select dehaze, go ahead and pull that over, and now I've applied dehaze to just the top of that image. Thank you. There it is before and after. No singing, no sound effects. We don't need any of that here. Not even going to try. Not even going to try. Not even going to try. Last thing I'm going to do with this image is I'm going to crop it. Let's just pull in on the sides here, get rid of some of those distracting elements, and commit that. And remember, as with everything we do here, it's natively non-destructive. I can change this at any time I like. Okay, so that's what I do when I remove distracting elements from the side of the image. But what if I don't have my distracting elements conveniently located on the edge of my frame? Well, that's okay, because I've got Photoshop Fix, and Photoshop Fix is a fantastic way to use powerful retouching tools from Photoshop CC right here on the iPad. Forget about that weird-looking guy on the side for just a second. Let's open this image here. And this is a great example of what I can do in Fix. We've recently rewritten Fix using Apple's Metal framework, and this gives us the ability to open these enormous files and to use powerful retouching tools that you guys have used on the desktop before. So I can do stuff like come in here and just remove people from this beach really easily. I could come over here and get rid of this boat in the foreground there. No problem. What's neat about this is it's a hybrid tool. It's not just a cloning tool. I could define a region here, like so, and I can come in here and switch it to a patch tool, right? So I've got this hybrid tool in one. It's really easy and powerful. When I'm done with this, I can go ahead and save that back to Lightroom, save it back to the cloud, and it'll be available to me across applications. Okay, so let's move on to this guy. You know, Adobe is full of a lot of really brilliant people, a lot of really interesting people, and I've been proud to work at Adobe for 17 years now. A lot of different perspectives, a lot of different philosophies on things. I found, though, last year and this year, that when it's suggested that we show retouching, especially when it comes to a face, there is no better file to do that with. There's nothing that needs more work than this particular individual. No pushback whatsoever anywhere in the company. So let me show you what we're doing here. Last year, we showed you how you could auto-segment the face and you could liquefy it. What I want to show you now is what we're doing around skin smoothing, and the team has done an amazing job here. The way that it works is that you can just come in here and drag your finger over this to smooth the skin, something I could obviously use quite a bit of, but I'm going to undo that because there's a faster and easier way to do this. And this is a great example of what you heard about earlier with Sensei. This is a great example of this machine learning. I can just touch face, and it's going to analyze the face and smooth it. I'm going to go ahead and touch that again, something I obviously need. I kind of think of that as the Benjamin Button, and it looks much better right away. I'm going to go ahead and look at that before. Let's not look at that for too long. And after. And the way that we're doing this is, Happy Halloween. We're building a mask right there on the face, and we're careful to avoid the hair, the eyes, the teeth. They just do a fantastic job with that. Really, really, really neat. Okay, so when we started, right before I came out, Bryan was talking about how we're building this photography service for the future, right? And it's important that it be cloud native, non-destructive with a focus on experience. Well, we've done that for mobile. Everything that I just showed you could be done on your phone, and it's available on both iOS and Android today. Even the stuff in Fix, it's available on Android today. But what about the desktop? Those advantages on mobile are not unique to mobile. In fact, one of the core benefits of this service is that we're able to get to our edits and our images anywhere. So I'm really excited to share with you guys what we're doing over here on the desktop. We talked about this a little bit earlier with graphic design and how we're rethinking that. And today I'm so thrilled to announce Project Nimbus. Now this is a sneak peek of something that we're working on, and I want to give you guys a look at how it works. As soon as I come in here, we notice that we have complete consistency, right? There's no jarring transition between mobile and desktop. It just looks familiar. Things are right here. I can get to my images right away, and they're right here before me. Now, I have a lot more images on the desktop than I have. I can see a lot more images. If I want to find a particular image or edit a particular image, I can do that really quickly. Let's say I want to find the shot of the pier that we took earlier. Any images that I shot of a pier will come up right away. Any edits that I want to make here, let's go ahead and make this one color this time. I'm going ahead and I'm going to do a couple things I can only do with a raw file, right? So I can search for my images based on the content of the image, and I can adjust them with all that same power. And of course, because these are all connected across devices, because they're all cloud-based, I can get back to those wherever I am. So after doing this, if I want to, say, step back and move to another device, if I want to go back to my Lightroom Mobile, I can do that, and I'm going to see those same edits on my other device. So let's go ahead and move back over to Lightroom Mobile. And I'm going to go ahead and launch here. And there's my image in color right there, just as I left it in Nimbus. They're all in the cloud. They're all synchronized. Maybe I want to make a change here. Let's say we want to put that on Instagram. I'm going to crop that square. Those changes will then be reflected across other devices, anywhere I might be. And so now I'm going to come back to my desktop, and I want to do something a little different. And this is something you guys can do today that you almost certainly don't know about. Really, really cool. You can go to the web, and you can go to lightroom.adobe.com. If you don't remember that URL, you can just log into adobe.com, and you'll see a little tab for LR photos. And what's wonderful is you have that same search technology here. And search here, content-based search, is another great example of Sensei. This really smart, powerful search. You don't have to keyword anything. You don't have to tag anything. You just find the images you're looking for. So that works great right here. A couple of other things to know about Lightroom Web. You can share your files. You can integrate directly with Adobe Portfolio, and you can even edit them here. All right, you get the idea. You can access your files wherever you are. Okay, I want to go back to Nimbus, and I want to talk about the experience with editing. I'm just going to show you a couple of editing features here because it's a really friendly place to edit. So I know that one of the images that I'm looking for has a windmill in it. So I'm just going to type in windmill. I meant what I said before, you guys. 15 years on the Photoshop team, you'd think I would keyword my images. Never did it. I was terrible about it. So if you're not doing that, don't feel bad. I'm going to come in here to my healing tool, and I want to show you how we're handling healing and retouching here. I'm just going to go ahead and paint over the region that I want to retouch. And what I can do is I can just grab any area that I want it to copy in there, match that up. It looks great. Let's go ahead and choose a larger brush here. Paint over that. And what's really nice is it gives me a visual representation of where it's pulling from. I can choose any part I like. Remember, everything I do here is natively non-destructive. I can undo that later. I can undo it anywhere I might be. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys, last edit I want to show you here is with lens correction. And for that, I'm going to show you an image from the hallway. So I just type in hallway. Those of you who are Adobe employees might notice that this particular demo asset really reinforces the fact that I don't get out much. I don't leave the building often. I don't normally recommend using the GoPro for architectural photography, as I obviously have here, but lens correction is really, really easy in here. And here's how it works. I just check enable lens correction. Let's look at that before, GoPro, and after. If you guys are shooting with a GoPro or using that, you can come in here and just toggle that on, and it straightens it out right away. Okay, now, There's nothing wrong with my inner ear here. It's tilting a little bit to the side. It's a wide-angle lens. It's really easy to do that. There's two ways to fix this. One is automatic, and it just works. The other way is guided, and I love guided because I can just draw these lines here. I can choose the vertical parts of the image, and it's going to stand this up straight. I'm going to grab a horizontal part of the image to level it. But what's great about this is you can break the rules. You can change the perspective. So what I like to do with this one is choose the wrong line, choose a diagonal line, and I completely change my perspective here, right? So you can do imaginative things that are different. If I want to come in here and constrain the crop later, it's going to train it right to that. And again, remember, all of this is available to me across devices. It's all cloud native. So what I'd like to do is finish up where I started, go back to my phone. Let's go ahead and just launch Lightroom Mobile there. And what's really important to remember here is that everything I do in one place is available to me in other places. That's a modern, cloud-native, non-destructive experience from raw capture to pro-grade editing anywhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bryan. So as you can see, we're building on the success of Lightroom to deliver a complete cloud-native photography service that is available across desktop, web, and mobile for full-resolution raw editing and sharing. From Lightroom Mobile to Fix and Mix to Lightroom Web and the new Project Nimbus on the desktop, you have access to all of your full-resolution photographs and any edits, anytime, anywhere, on any device. And you can only get this from Adobe. No one else offers a cloud-native photography service with the power of Adobe Lightroom at its core. And the Project Nimbus beta will be available next year. All right, so what did you guys think about this morning? You know, I have to say that this team makes it easy to be the front man, and it's a pleasure to do this every year. We've covered a lot of exciting ground today, so let's do a really quick recap. First, Brooke and Eric showed us how using Stock, Adobe Stock, along with collaboration features in Creative Cloud, help you bring your creative vision to life faster than ever before. Then Paul previewed how we're shaping the future of design with innovative new Creative Cloud apps and services, Adobe XD, Project Felix, and Adobe Spark. Jason and Bart demonstrated how video tools can be used to tell a variety of stories across different mediums. And then finally, we showed how we continue to transform the world of photography with the Lightroom service. We've shown where we're taking Creative Cloud in 2017. Much of this is available today. You can go ahead and download it. Or if you're already a Creative Cloud member, it's available via Thor. If you aren't a member, come to adobe.com and sign up for a Creative Cloud, but I think most of you are because you wouldn't be here otherwise. So a lot more updates to come in the coming months here. And if you're not, if you're not engaged in helping us try these tools out in their beta form, we really encourage you to actually participate and give us feedback. I'd like to close today's session by going back to where we began. I'd like to close with community. At Adobe, we celebrate diversity and differences. We believe that everybody is creative, that everybody should be creative, and that we all have a story to tell, even Jason. Creativity is a universal human experience. One organization that embodies this and shares these values is Exceptional Minds. Exceptional Minds is a unique school that prepares young adults with autism for careers in digital animation and visual effects. And they open our eyes to the power of creativity and show us that great talent can come from anywhere. Let's have a look.
So you excited about today?
Yep.
You gonna work some more in your characters?
Pretty much, yes.
And what character are you gonna work on today?
I'm going to do a pose of Meltdown having his brain explode.
Cool. My son Noah was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3. He did not have language and was really frustrated. He was trying desperately to communicate, and when we didn't understand what he wanted to say, he would just sit there and weep.
It was like I had my thoughts in my head, but I just couldn't say it out.
it was tough. That's my brief thing to share.
The mission of Exceptional Minds is to train young adults who have autism to work in visual effects and animation, ultimately to get work in those fields.
We're going to start by just outlining. We're going to follow our lines with a black brush.
Currently, it's estimated that 90 to 95% of young adults with autism are either unemployed or underemployed. It's also estimated that 80% never leave their parents' home, because clearly, if you can't get a job, it's hard to move out.
It makes me sad to think about society's view of our kids and them not having potential. They have so much that is untapped, and we need to explore to find out where their strengths are.
Now that I'm in my second year working with Premiere and After Effects, it's like a light switch. I can do this. It's an absolutely massive deal for me to be able to work on my own and to be able to live on my own. Hey, my sauce is really good. Not to toot my own horn.
Pretty good.
To know that I have a shot at working in the world of visual effects. People are saying, you're autistic, you can't work here. It's like, no, this place shows me I can.
You gotta watch out for sharp angles like that, man.
If studios don't hire people like us, they're missing out on some really good talent.
Collaborating with each other, that's what I like about it. It's like learning from each person's perspective.
Having autism is a bit challenging, but there's like special inside of it.
I used to work as the stock clerk who would just go through the aisles and organize things. Now I'm doing something that I really, really like doing.
Whether I see my shot or anyone else's shot on a big screen, I've always just want to just yell out and point and saying, that's my shot, that's my shot, or like nudge, nudge, that's my shot.
For these young adults, it really isn't just about the paycheck at all. It's about having a job. It's about getting out there. And they have a quality of life that they never would have had.
Love you. Love you too. Tell Mom I said hi.
Even though I have autism, you can still follow your dream no matter how hard life gets. And that's how I'm going to get through this. And keep telling myself, you can do this.
We are very proud to partner with Exceptional Minds to help bring creative tools and creative skills to truly exceptional creative minds. And we're thrilled today that the founders, Yudi and Molly, were able to join us here today. One of our key missions is to foster community diversity by working with groups that cultivate more inclusive workforces and harness the power of creativity in their missions. And we support many organizations that share these goals. I'd like to close today by thanking our partners, our sponsors, and all the Adobe employees who help make Max the massive success that it is every year. We have an incredible couple of days in store for you now. We'll be back here tomorrow morning for a stellar lineup of speakers that celebrate the power of community and creativity, including filmmaker Quentin Tarantino. And don't forget Sneaks tomorrow night. That's one of the truly innovative events here. It will be hosted by Comedy Central star Jordan Peele. And our very own Kim Chambers. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.